Well, hey, it's time for Ask the Tech Guys. I'm Leo Laporte. Coming up, Rod Pyle explains what happened to that Soviet lunar lander.
And I'm Mikah Sargent, and Leo and I are going to answer the question, should you let an AI do your taxes?
You think you know what our answer is? Stay tuned. We'll also talk to Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, our photo assignment, and lots of questions. All coming up next on Ask the Tech Guys.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Ask the Tech Guys with Mikah Sargent and Leo Laporte, episode 1988, recorded Sunday, August 20th, 2023. Hopelessly lovesick. Ask the Tech Guys is brought to you by ACI Learning. ACI's new cyber skills is training for everyone, not just the pros. Visit go.acilearning.com/twit. Twit listeners will receive at least 20% off or as much as 65% off an IT Pro Enterprise Solution Plan. Discount based on the size of your team, and when you fill out the form, you're going to get a proper quote tailored to your needs. Listeners of this program get an ad-free version if they're members of Club Twit. $7 a month gives you ad-free versions of all of our shows, plus membership in the Club Twit Discord, a great clubhouse for Twit listeners. And finally, the Twit Plus feed with shows like Stacy's Book Club, The Untitled Linux Show, The Giz Fizz, and more. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. And thanks for your support.
It's time for Ask the Tech Guy.
Well, hey. That's Mikah Sargent over there.
And that's Leo Laporte over there.
And we got a big show coming up for you. Lots of questions, lots of answers via phone, 888-724-2884.
Yes, you can also head to call.twit.tv.
Zoom us.
Zoom. When you go there, you will be connected to a Zoom call where you'll hang out and we'll bring you on air. If you have video, you'll appear in this little circle here on our screen and you'll get to ask your question. If you don't want to appear on video, we totally understand. You can also email us, atg@twit.tv with your question.
And here's a dirty little secret. When you phone, you're still going into the Zoom thing.
It's true. There's the dirty little secret.
There's the duty little secret. Here's a duty little secret.
Movement.
So, also coming up today, we've got Rod Pyle.
Yes, and we also have
Spaceman.
Chris Marquardt at once. Yeah, doing the clock thing. Yeah, it's like 12.
Are you doing the clock?
12. We have Rod Pyle. 1. We have Chris Marquardt.
So, do you know what they call the arm on a sundial?
The spindula.
It's got a funny name, but I can't remember what it is.
Well, come on.
Is it the cursor?
It's the fetlock.
No, it's not the shadow either. Look it up.
Yeah.
It's a name.
Somebody out there.
Out there. Scooter X will look it up and tell us in about 5 seconds. He's very good. What else is going on?
There's a lot going on. We've got stuff going on in space, which is why we've got Rod Pyle coming on.
It's the Gnomon.
Gnomon?
N-G-N-O-M-O-N, the Gnomon. Thank you, chat room. That's the weird word I was looking for.
That's an interesting.
You know why that came up for me?
Was it Jeopardy?
Yeah. And the answer was sundial, but I was, they said something like, what is that? When it's 11 o'clock, because that shadow thingy is there. And it turned out they wanted the word sundial. They just wanted sundial, not gnomon. I'm going crazy with it. What is it? Is it cursor? It's gnomon. And it turned out that was German? The wrong answer anyway. So the heck with you. I play Jeopardy every day,
Yes, I do.
Religiously.
It's good for your brain.
Well.
Okay. I guess it's not.
Well. So.
You were thinking of gnomon instead of just sundial. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but I couldn't come up with it. That's the real problem. So Microsoft's going to have an event. Do you still have your Blue Velvet?
I do. I still have Elvis. The what is this now? That's the Surface Laptop 2 or 3?
I think was it 2?
It was definitely more than one. Yeah,
second one.
I think it's the second.
And it has Alcantara on the wrist rest, which is why I call it Blue Velvet.
It's now covered with spaghetti sauce though. No, there's nothing on it. It's fine. It's fine. It still hums. I have to tell you, one thing that I found that's very impressive about that device is how long the battery lasts.
Oh.
Given my experience with Windows machines, I expected the battery to be terrible, and it was pretty okay.
That's a good recommendation.
It is pretty okay, yeah.
Well, don't buy one, though, because September 21st, there's going to be a Microsoft event in New York City. It's probably the Surface event, Thursday, and we will cover it. We'll stream that live. And by the way, that reminds me that Apple's event, Mark Gurman, rumor monger extraordinaire at Bloomberg, says will be September 12th, 10 days earlier. But it's funny because the stuff that you order will ship the day after Microsoft's event.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think Microsoft said, we better have our event.
Yeah, let's hop on it. Let's make this happen.
We better do it quick.
I want them to buy our stuff.
You can now, and I think you should ask Rosemary about this. First of all, we have to buy her a Tesla.
Okay.
Because you can now use
Step one.
Siri shortcuts in the Tesla mobile app.
Oh.
So you could have a shortcut that, like, when my shower is done, turn
Start
on my vehicle
Tesla,
or
yeah.
something. I don't know why
so you still, unfortunately, you still can't CarPlay in a Tesla. You can now AirPlay in a Tesla. So if you want to watch your favorite shows on the screen in your Tesla, you could do that.
I'll never understand that. My Mustang Mach-E, also an electric vehicle, I can watch YouTube videos. I realize, though, I think why that is, that their Tesla and Mach-E and many electric vehicles have games and other entertainments, is because you're stuck at a charger for half an hour to an hour.
If you don't have the infrastructure at home, then you are charging on the road. Yeah.
And I think they always want to entertain you.
Playing a game while I wait for my charge.
So terrible fires. I'm so sad about Lahaina in Maui. And of course, Canada's still burning, still nasty. And now the Canadian government is mad at Meta because the Canadian government made a law that said that Meta, Google, and other organizations would have to pay publishers for showing links to news stories. You know, the little box you get if you share a news story on Facebook, and you click it and it goes to the story. But for some reason they say, no, you should pay us for that little box, to which Meta said, fine, bye.
No news
and they
here.
said no news links in Canada. Now the Canadian government's mad because they call that ban reckless due to the fires in Canada. Meta started blocking news on its Facebook and Instagram platforms earlier this month in response to that new law requiring payment. Some people fleeing wildfires in the remote northern town of Yellowknife have complained to domestic media that the ban prevented them from sharing important data about the fires. How can I tell my friends on Facebook about the fire? How can I Insta it if they... Well,
this is because
you can, by the way, do both those things. What you can't do is link to a Yellowknife news journal report about it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess you just become a citizen journalist in effect.
Heritage Minister, for some reason, she's in charge. I don't know why. Heritage Minister, seriously, she's in charge of this whole thing of C-18. Heritage Minister Pascal Saint-Onge said in a social media post, Meta's reckless choice, just gives me an excuse to do my Pepe Le Pew accent, pardon me. Meta's reckless choice to block news is hurting access to vital information on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah, but if you hadn't...
You put a law in place that they have to pay. And so are you saying that, yes, please share news and we aren't going to make you pay for it? Then, okay, yeah, in emergency cases, cool. I'm sorry, but this just makes sense.
Now, you may say, oh, we're cold and heartless because people in the wildfires need this. No, I think cold and heartless is a Canadian government, which knows there's plenty other ways to share that information besides Instagram and Facebook, but is trying to leverage the wildfires to get Meta to do their bidding.
Yep.
I think that's cold and cynical, to be honest. There's plenty of other ways to share that information. Pascal Saint-Onge is being disingenuous, to use a French word. Okay, don't buy.
Oh, God, please don't. Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Where I'm going?
Yeah, I'm following along.
You are psychic today.
That is exactly what it is, actually.
Do not buy SanDisk SSDs from Western Digital. The Verge is reporting, and they reported this a couple of weeks ago, that SanDisk Extremes SSDs might just erase themselves, lose all your data. The Verge says it happened to one of their people twice. It happened to Ars Technica. It happened to a reporter at Petapixel. So it's happening. It maybe even happened to you. I'm sorry if it did. Months after our inquiries, The Verge writes, Western Digital continues to sell these drives due to deep discounts, fake Amazon reviews, and issues with Google search that rank favorable results far higher than warnings like the ones that Verge has been giving out and we're now giving you about potential failures. Western Digital's head of PR, Robin Schultz, refused to answer some basic questions from The Verge. Why are these drives still on sale? Will you offer free data recovery services? Are you proactively warning consumers and retailers? If not, why not? What exactly is going on? How did this happen? What is the meaning of life, the universe, and anything? That Robin wouldn't say. But Robin did say, in response to recent reports of concerns about specific Western Digital portable SSD products, we want to assure our valued customers we are taking all measures necessary to address any product-related issues. We understand the significance of our products to our customers. We take these matters very seriously. We're conducting a comprehensive review to gain a thorough understanding of the issues. You know what you should do, Robin? Appoint a committee. That always works.
There you go. Appoint a committee who will 3 years from now decide that people should stop buying them and tell everybody they should stop buying them. On episode 298, so a couple episodes ago on Tech News Weekly, we had Sean Hollister from The Verge on to go kind of in depth about
article.
it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And
so you know all about this.
Yeah. And I mean, this is just, I don't know. At this point, it's stunning to me that you're still seeing sales happening of these devices.
There is a class action lawsuit, according to the Register. California resident Nathan Crum, probably not his real name, filed a prospective class action lawsuit citing breach of contract, fraudulent and unfair business practices, many other claims. I don't know if Crum will win.
Yeah.
But interesting. Anyway, the main point of all this is don't buy SanDisk Extreme SSDs because there's some unknown problem, and Western Digital seems to be uncommunicative.
Especially given the popularity of this particular model that is the one that's featuring heavily everywhere.
Yeah.
It's been recommended by a lot of sites.
Have you ever heard of James Dean?
Yes, I know James Dean. Got a poster of James. No, I don't.
Do you? You should.
It's just everybody. I feel like everybody has a poster of James Dean.
It is. Yeah. He died in, I think, 59 or something like that, right?
Yeah. Talk about a jawline.
He had a jawline.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't made a movie in quite a few years, as a matter of fact. But he might, thanks to AI. He died in 1955. This is our AI panic of the week.
Oh.
James Dean only was in 3 movies, but now, 70 years after he died, he's been cast as the star of a new upcoming movie.
The star?
Yes. So he made East of Eden, classic. See it if you haven't. The new movie's called Back to Eden, a digital clone of James Dean created using artificial intelligence.
Who's doing this?
Will walk, talk, and interact on screen with other actors. Let me see who's making this sacrilege. It's helpful because, of course, the actors are on strike.
Mm-hmm.
The writers are on strike, too. So what you do is you remake an old movie with a deep fake actor. Problem solved.
It's so grim.
Until the VFX folks go on strike.
Yeah, the VFX folks are threatening that, aren't they? Benito's chiming in. You're absolutely right. So we shall see. This is now just beginning. Carrie Fisher, remember, was recreated for Star Wars. They had a lot of film on her and presumably had the rights to do it. Paul Walker passed away, sadly. They still need him for Fast and Furious 57. 65.
Oh, 65.
Okay.
You missed it when they went back in time.
Harold Ramis also passed away. Brazilian singer Elis Regina was recently resurrected for a car advertisement where she was shown dueling with her daughter. Daughter's still alive. Mom gone. Anyway. I'm not going to go see Back to Eden.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, if permission was given by the Dean family.
Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm really not seeing it. You know, I want to know the plot.
Oh God,
it's a sci-fi film. In out of this world visit to find truth leads to a journey across America with the legend James Dean and Martians. I guess.
Okay. This sounds like a stoner film.
Sounds terrible. Anyway, that's our artificial intelligence panic of the week. Shall we? I haven't even checked to see.
There is one.
Okay.
I'm reading your mind again.
Yes. He's amazing. He's amazing.
But I do think we'll have to do three other pauses.
What do you know? What do you think I'm thinking right now?
Why are you thinking about SpaghettiOs?
That's okay. Get out of my brain, Mikah Sargent.
Oh, man. Let's let some other people get into our brains.
Okay. That's what we do here. We let you tap into our gray matter. Shall we do
I hate it phrased like that for some reason.
What do you want to do? Call, email? I'm asking producer extraordinaire AI John Ashley. What? Sending Jim Rose to the breakout room. Hello, Jim Rose. SpaghettiOs.
Famous drummer, Jim Rose.
You know, I don't know how you knew that this was in my brain, but I'm pretty impressed that you could catch on so quickly. I'm going to close my eyes and see if you can see what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Just see if you can see. What am I thinking right now?
Now, Leo.
What am I thinking?
Is thinking
right now?
I can see him in his home.
Yes.
Just absolutely having the music's turned way up.
Yep.
It's a mess. He's making 3 different meals at one time because Lisa's gone all week.
That's exactly what I'm eating because my wife and you are going to Denver and I'm not jealous. I'm not. All right. What was his name? Jim?
Jim Rose.
Oh, Jim's on the phone. Do I need to do anything? No, I already said that. Hello, Jim. SAR 60? SAR 66. Unmute. He needs to unmute himself. Oh, star 60.
I think it's just star 6. Yeah.
Star 6. You know, even with these in, I can't hear a thing.
You're still thinking about the SpaghettiOs. That's all. Star.
Can you hear me now?
Yay! We can. That's what that yay.
Where are you calling from,
My
Jim?
question about Bluetooth seems to take over my phone.
That's what's going on right now.
Jim is from Bluetooth, and it is taking over Jim's phone. What do you mean when you say it's taking over your phone?
If I'm listening to a book on tape or music, and I put the Bluetooth away, the next time I put on the Bluetooth, it automatically goes to that place. And I've tried rebooting the phone. I have to stop whatever I was listening to in order to be able to use the Bluetooth, or I hear both the book and whatever else I'm listening to on Bluetooth.
That's a convenience, Jim. That's the intent.
Oh, I see.
If it didn't do that, then you would say, why can't I hear my book?
Mm-hmm.
So the Bluetooth, what headsets are you using? Bet it's Apple.
Bose.
The QCs? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's wearing Bose Quiet Comfort. They're very nice earbuds.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is by design. Bose is saying, well, last thing you did was listen to a book. And what kind of phone?
Samsung S21.
Okay. Or it could be the Samsung doing this, saying, well, I'm still paired to the Bose, and I know you're trying to make a phone call, but I'm just going to start this book anyway, which actually it sounds like it's more the Samsung. The Bose would remember your pairing to the Samsung, right? So it stays paired, which is what you want. But the problem is the phone, you're making a call, and the Samsung is not smart enough to say, oh, he's making a call. Now,
yeah, because that is a setting that you could change on iPhone. I remember now.
Is it?
Yeah, it's buried in accessibility, but there's an option between automatic switching or choose headset or choose speaker whenever you're placing a call. So
I bet you that's a Bluetooth
somewhere.
feature or something, and it's something in your Samsung settings. I don't have my Samsung phone with me. Unfortunately, I brought my Pixel today. Of all days, so I can't check this. But I almost certainly that's what's going on. Is the Samsung has decided that as soon as you would think though that it would immediately, as soon as you open the dialer on the phone, it would immediately. Once you're in the phone, there's a settings button. You can choose where the phone audio is going, and you should be able to say, the book shouldn't play at the same time as you're talking.
There is, so according to if you go to settings, connection, Bluetooth, and then look for the Bluetooth device, which in this case would be these Bose Quiet Comfort, there's an option that has audio and media. And so you can choose to basically only have Bluetooth work for calls, or you can have it work so that it's working with audio and media. It's kind of a switch between the two. So if you wanted to basically say, I only want Bluetooth headphones to be connected whenever I'm listening to something, and I don't want it to be for calls, that seems to be what you'd want to do.
Yeah. It's
except that when I want to make a call, I want it on Bluetooth.
So you want the calls on Bluetooth, and you want the audiobook to be coming out of the speaker of the phone?
No. So I'm listening to the book, and then I go into a store. So I put my Bluetooth buds away. I come out from the store, and I want to make a call, but I can't make the call until I disconnect from the book. It automatically launches the book as soon as I
put
take the Bluetooth buds out again.
Gotcha.
And can you launch the call app to make a phone call at that point, or you can't even do that?
Yeah, but I would hear if I don't pause the book, then I would
You're
hear them
hear
both.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It should pick. Seems like odd behavior.
Yeah,
as soon
that
as
they're
you
both
open
playing.
the call app and start dialing a phone number, maybe it won't. The book will still play until somebody answers. But the point is that you've got audio coming from the phone app. The music app should stop playing. Are you using what's the book app you're using?
Audible.
I guess, this feels like typical behavior.
There's an Audible setting.
If you essentially are, as soon as it's like the phone's going, okay, he's put his headphones back in, so he wants to keep listening to whatever it was before. So the sort of friction that you have here is you have to hit pause. And I want to confirm, you're saying that hitting pause is too much for you. You want to not even have to hit pause on the book and just have it not
it'll
play
even
anything?
happen. I'm in the middle. Oh, it's not only the Bose. Now that I think about, if I'm on my the phone, the car, and I'm using the speaker from the car, I'll be talking on the phone, and all of a sudden the music from the last or the book,
yeah.
it could be music or book, just starts in, and I have to say, hold on, and figure out how to pause the book.
That's the same
or the
sure. Yeah.
the music.
Yeah,
and
that's
very
frustrating.
annoying.
That's very annoying.
That's the Samsung for sure. That's the S21 doing that. I would pour through the Bluetooth settings on the S21.
I will do that.
Yeah, because yeah, I mean, at least we've narrowed it down. It's not the Bose, now, because it does in the car too. And that made sense. It's the phone. I just looked through the Audible settings, and I don't see any obvious place that Audible says, keep playing no matter what's happening, even if I'm on the phone. That would be a silly setting.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that it's able to stream those two audio sources at once.
Yeah, that's a feature.
That one is a call. Yeah.
That's a very nice feature.
Yeah. Yeah, it does it Audible, Spotify, whatever I'm listening.
Okay, so then we know it's not the app. So this is good. This is the process of troubleshooting: is you eliminate possibilities until you find the one thing. I think it's the S21.
Yep.
It's definitely a setting in the S21. There's going to be some way that you can solve that and fix that in the settings. There's got to be. Is it Samsung Dual Audio? So Ray is in our chat room is saying Samsung has I don't know if it has a feature called dual audio. That would be a silly feature. Listen to music while you're on the phone.
Samsung Dual Audio lets you use a Samsung Galaxy device to cast audio to two compatible options. So you share. No, that's out.
That's not it.
Yeah, that's not in. That's out.
Yeah. I think that there's a Bluetooth setting somewhere.
Yeah, settings, connections, Bluetooth. Check there for all of the settings, and then you can kind of decide.
But the good news is that ain't supposed to happen. So it's something wrong.
All right.
And
I've
it's the phone.
I've got a road to follow. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. It's really nice to talk to you. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Jim was calling from...
he never
Bluetooth,
said, so Bluetooth.
Bluetooth, I think that's in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, Saskatchewan, yeah.
Or is it in the Yukon territory? It might be in the Yukon territory.
Yeah, the one in Saskatchewan is actually just Bluth.
Donald Bluth? What's his name? Bluth?
I know that is something.
His Bluth is in Arrested Development, is the Bluth.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
There's always money in the banana stand.
There's always money in the banana stand. Never forget that, my friends. Speaking of money in the banana stand, you know where if I were trying to make a good living these days, it's hard. You know, I feel bad for kids coming out of school.
Oh, God, me too.
Yeah.
I think my siblings.
Yeah.
I think my siblings. Oh.
Can I make a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
Get a IT cert and get into IT. There is a demand for IT professionals, and it's not getting filled. In fact, the last time I checked, there were more than 1 million openings for IT security professionals that are not filled. They're just standing, waiting for people. That's why you need to know about our sponsor, ACI Learning. You've heard, of course, of IT Pro. We've been talking about them for more than a decade. They merged with ACI Learning, and the partnership is fantastic. In today's IT talent shortage, whether you operate your own department or you're part of a larger team, skills got to be up to date. In fact, 94% of CIOs and CISOs agree getting the right people in the job is job one, attracting and retaining talent. Access, you can be that talent. You could be the one that's in demand. And man, the pay is great. Access more than 72 hours of online, on-demand, entertaining, engaging content, teaching you all the skills you need to get a career in IT, to advance your career in IT, to train your team so that they're doing the job you need for your business. ACI Learning is always adding new content to it. It's always fresh. They have 7 studios running Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, so that they've always got the latest content, the latest certs, the latest exam questions, the latest topics. I mean, this is a fast-changing field, but ACI Learning is on top of it. And by the way, if you're getting team training for them, they will thank you for ACI Learning. ACI Learning stuff is so informative and so entertaining. You need both. That their completion rate is 50% higher than their competitors. Most other stuff, people tire of it. They bore. Not with ACI Learning. People love it. I can tell you that. They've just introduced something new called Cyber Skills, which is a solution not just for your IT department, but to future-proof your entire organization. The new cybersecurity training tool, Cyber Skills, is for all your employees. It's cybersecurity awareness training, especially for non-IT professionals. Because these days, everybody's on the front line. With Cyber Skills, you'll get flexible on-demand training covering everything from password security and phishing scams to malware prevention, network safety. Your employees will stay motivated and educated and engaged throughout the entire learning process with easy-to-follow material. And there's a simple 1-hour course overview, so your employees will gain attack-specific training, knowledge check assessments based on common cyber threats that they will encounter on a daily basis. Spear phishing, social engineering. In 1 hour, it locks it down. They also will get bonus courses, documentary-style episodes. There's lots to learn, and your employees can do it in their own style, in their own fashion, but with engaging content. I've done other cybersecurity training. It's terrible. ACI Learnings is so good. This is what you want for your company. ACI Learning. It helps you invest in your team and entrust them to thrive while increasing the entire security of your business. Very important. Boost your enterprise cybersecurity confidence today with ACI Learning. Be bold. Train smart. Visit go.acilearning.com/twit. Because you're listening, you'll get at least 20% off. You may even get as much as 65% off an IT Pro Enterprise Solution Plan. Discount, of course, is based on the size of your team. Fill out the form. You'll get a quote tailored to your needs. Great people, great training. Go.acilearning.com/twit. We thank them so much for supporting Ask the Tech Guys and all of our Twit shows. They're our studio sponsors. And you see the signage and stuff around. They've really been very good to us this year. Thank you, ACI Learning. I should mention, you're going to be back next week, though.
Yeah,
right?
I'll be back.
You're just going to go during Monday through Friday.
Yes. So
to the podcast movement.
In Denver, Colorado. Yes.
And you're going with our sales team.
I am, yeah.
They wanted somebody to, talent there.
One of the members of who's on camera.
He's the talented guy. And then Lisa and I are going to go end of September to Green Bay. We're meeting with AdvertiseCast, which is probably, if you listen to our shows, they don't do it on video, but if you listen to our audio shows, you'll hear some of their ads. they're doing what they call direct ad insertion. So in this show, for instance, the audio version will have, I hope, God willing, 2 extra ads. Thanks to Advertise Guys. So we're going out to meet them. Cool. While we're out there, we're bringing our 20-year-old who is a Green Bay Packers fan. I don't understand that. But anyway, we're going to go out and we're going to see a Packers game. And then I thought, well, since we're out there, I haven't been in the Midwest in some time. Not, in fact, since we went out to St. Louis for IT. Who was it? I forgot. Anyway.
CDW?
No,
yeah. WWT.
WWT, thank you. I knew it was an initial. So we're going to have an event in Green Bay. It's official. We got the quota. 4 people said yes. So we got the quota. So we haven't yet decided a venue, but September 29th, Friday in the evening.
Oh, fun.
It'll be no host, so come on out and we'll I'll be there. Lisa will be there. It'll be a lot of fun.
Maybe I don't understand that term because you're a host.
I'll be there. I'll be the host, but I won't pay for nothing.
Oh, so no host means you are hosting yourself.
I am not paying for your SpaghettiOs.
Oh, so it's okay. I get it. It's a polite way of saying.
You've never heard that phrase?
Yeah, no host.
No host bar.
Yeah, no.
You never heard that?
Mm-mm.
Boy, people in St. Joe must be very generous.
Yeah, we always host.
That's all I can say. They always pay. Party in Green Bay, September 29th.
We're yes host all the way.
Should I talk to a guy named Guy?
Let's talk to a guy named Guy who I'm sure hears that joke all the time.
Oh, sorry.
And just loves it.
Sorry. I'm sending him to the breakout room, Guy.
Join us, Guy.
Oh, man.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Guy.
We are.
Hey.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Oklahoma.
Beautiful.
Long-time listener.
Thank you.
Second-time caller or something like that.
That's okay.
But, hey, I thought I'd give you a question, and I'm kind of wanting some opinions from all of our tech fans and stuff like that.
Well, it's not just me and Mikah. Whenever you call this show, you've got our IRC team tech guys. We got our Discord team tech guys. We got a lot of experts listening. So this is a great place to call for information.
And I always appreciate the collective wisdom that this network offers us and everything and stuff. So,
thanks.
Hey, okay. So my question is that I give tech support. I give tech support for kind of mobile tech support for places like hotels, casinos, and rural areas here in Oklahoma.
Oh, cool. Neat.
So, I am, and I'm finding, I'm finding out that, these places these places that I give tech support at have, secure network challenges and stuff like that. Okay. So my thing is that when I go out there and I do tech support for these places, I'm looking for a small travel pocket router that 1 connects to public Wi-Fi, 2 can hardwire 2 computers, and 3 that I can use my NordVPN with and everything, so I can kind of have a secure private network on the road.
For years, I used a really great little portable router that had a built-in both VPN and Tor, and I just got a notice from the folks who do it. They're out of Washington, D.C., that they're Wi-Fi Consulting, that they're discontinuing the product. It was at Tiny Hardware Firewall. But if you go to tinyhardwarefirewall.com, you can see what these little things will do. These were basically white-labeled knockoffs of routers that had both Wi-Fi and Ethernet on them, and then would become a Wi-Fi access point, exactly what you want. They'd take the internet, they'd route it through themselves, become a new access point that's safe to join. They would allow you to turn on a VPN if you wanted. They would allow you to turn on Tor if you wanted for anonymizing, and they would allow you to do both. It was a really great little thing. Now, there are plenty of other companies that make these travel routers. But just to give you an idea, I'm not sure, I'm going to have to find one like you. I'm going to have to find one because I would carry this with me everywhere. I've shown it many times over the last 20 years. But Wi-Fi Consulting just sent me a note saying they're shutting down. Nord, you say you use Nord. Nord actually sells them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
what is OpenWRT?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. So, any router will have firmware software that's running, and most companies use their own proprietary software. But back in the day when the Linksys the 54 was such a popular, 54WRT was such a popular router, it was an inexpensive $50 router. Everybody used it. You remember those blue and black routers with little antennas. Everybody used them. The open source community decided we're going to make firmware for them. That's why it's called OpenWRT. It's made for those Linksys WRT routers, but it has expanded since then. If you go to OpenWRT or DDWRT, there are a variety of them now. You can see these, and they're generally speaking, because it's open source, more powerful. They do a lot more things. They're more flexible. I'm a big fan of them. And if you can get a router that supports open source router firmware, whether it's, I think DDWRT or Tomato was around for a while, was another one. My experience with both OpenWRT, DDWRT, and Tomato were that these were really superior to the manufacturer offered software. The funny thing is, ASUS, knowing that, decided that they were going to take OpenWRT and make their own ASUS WRT style software. So many ASUS routers not only run effectively OpenWRT, but can be modified. You got to reverse. DDWRT is the old one. OpenWRT is the current one. That's the one that's currently up to date. In fact, they just had a release a few months ago. So I'm looking.
Well, without dropping any names or anything, I'm looking around Amazon and everything, and there are plenty of ones that range anywhere from $30 to $80 that has two ports on there that looking into. But I'm kind of unfamiliar with this category of routers.
It's really interesting.
Like that,
so I'm in a review site called LifeWire. It's a decent review site that has two of them. The best overall is the $40 TP-Link, and I do like TP-Link stuff. They tend to be cheap. And the next best one is the $282 Netgear Nighthawk.
Yeah, and I looked at that. That one doesn't have more than one Ethernet port on it. So,
okay.
That's the problem with that.
So you need to have an in and an out Ethernet port, or you need to have two outs.
Well, if I'm connecting to something that I'll need a Wi-Fi driver for, and it's not, so I'll download the driver. As much as I try to keep all drivers on a USB key to install a Wi-Fi driver, if I need to hook up via a Ethernet port, then that's where I come in.
Yeah.
To do
so almost all of these, certainly the ones I had, would have a Ethernet port, at least for the WAN, right? To attach. So you're at a hotel and all they have is Ethernet. You plug it into these. Or it would have two Wi-Fi radios, one for incoming and one for outbound.
Right. Having
an inbound and an outbound Ethernet port, I think, is more expensive and probably more difficult to find. But I think if you just wanted to update firmware, you could plug into the WAN port. And you log into the router, you log in via Wi-Fi into the router and download firmware updates that way. So the router is online, but it's online out to the internet, right? So you might not, if that's all you want to do, if you wanted to drive two computers via Ethernet, that would be different. Then you would really need three ports. You'd need a WAN port and two LAN ports. But if you're just saying it's just to update firmware, things like that, the WAN port will work for that. You can connect directly to that. And do you want to run OpenWRT? Is that why you were asking about it, or do you care?
In the first half of your answer, you didn't mention WRT, and then I mentioned WRT as something I'm looking at, and I'm just unfamiliar with it and everything.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of
I like it, and if a router came with OpenWRT on it, I would say that's a good thing. It's one of the reasons I like the ASUS routers. Just for your knowledge, most of the time routers have their own proprietary firmware. I do like the Netgear travel routers. I didn't realize it was $282.
Yeah, they're a little pricey. But that one has the option to also be a cellular connectivity option.
Oh, that's why it's so expensive. Yeah. So do you need that guy or no?
Could I plug? Well, I've got a cellular connection that I can plug my phone into the router, and then it would give me a hotspot and everything.
Yeah. So you don't necessarily want that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, it is going to cost more because you have to have the SIM in there, and you have to have, the 3G radios and all that. No, you don't want that.
Or use my phone's hotspot to kind of like plug in.
Yeah, I mean,
the
hotspots. The reason people sometimes don't want to use hotspots is because it wears out the battery in your phone. It's usually a little slower than a built-in connection to the cellular network, and usually your carrier is going to charge you extra for the hotspotting. So there are reasons people don't want that. I think having a travel router in your kit is a great thing to have. As I said, I'm sorry that the tiny hardware firewall is gone. But if you look at the hardware they were selling, it's from independent third parties like GL.i that they're still making good travel routers out there. I think it seems to be.
Well, actually, that's the one I was looking at.
Yeah, that's
GL.i.
Yeah, the GL.iNet is fantastic. That one, there's at least one with a 4G built in. I don't know if you need that or not. You'll pay more for that, obviously. But okay. I have the GL.i in the other room in my drawer, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to retire it now because Wi-Fi Consulting is going out of business. My guess it was one guy, and he's he says I'm retiring now.
I'm good.
I'm doing this for a long time.
Anybody that gives mobile tech support, whatever you have in your toolkit, I'm open for their suggestions. So if you just drop it in the IRC, I'll look for it.
What's your handle in IRC?
Guy Social Web.
Guy Social Web. All right. Yeah, the GL.iNet, $90, pass-through connectivity for Ethernet, built-in WireGuard, or if you want to use Nord, you could use Nord. Looks pretty darn good. That one runs OpenWRT. I have to say, if this is the one you're looking at, I have an earlier version of this and highly recommend it. I think it's great. What Wi-Fi Consulting was doing was they were buying these white labeled. They were putting their firmware on them and selling them. And I think this is the same thing basically. It's the GL.iNet GL.A 1300 wireless VPN encrypted travel router, has built-in VPN. This is exactly what you want. It has 2 LAN ports, 1 WAN port. It's exactly what you were asking for.
Okay.
No 3G or 4G, but that's fine because you can hotspot it.
Okay. Sorry, I was in the Discord channel, but now I'm in the IRC channel.
Either one is fine, Guys Social.
Either one is fine. Okay.
I have to say, I haven't tried this one, but like I said, I had an earlier version of it I really liked. This looks great. It's open source with OpenWRT, which means you can run your own firmware on it. This is fantastic. In fact, I'm going to buy this right now. Thank you for helping me choose.
There you go.
Okay, yeah, if you could just drop that link,
Yeah, we will.
I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, we will.
Thank you, sir.
Hey,
thank you both.
Appreciate it. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah,
bye-bye.
I think that one looks like the best one.
I agree.
Put that in the,
it was quite literally, it checked all the boxes of what guys was looking for.
It's unusual to have 3 Ethernet ports because that's more expensive. But it's funny. It's in my drawer in the other room. If we get a chance, I'll jump up and get it. We have time for one. But let me do it. Do you want to do email or voicemail? You choose.
How about email?
Email's starting to pile up.
Email.
I don't know if we're going to be able to fit it all in the mailbox pretty soon. Should I always take from the top? Do you rotate it, or should I take from the bottom? You have been? Are you a good stock boy? Okay. Do you know about rotating your stock?
No.
When you go to Costco,
that's stock.
And you buy new potato chips, put them in the back.
Oh, yes.
So that you eat the old potato chips first, right?
Yes.
I'm eating the old potato chips here. This is from Neil. Hi, Neil. He wants to know about password managers. I've heard a lot about the dangers of password managers being hacked.
Oh.
I have not heard you talk about password managers that store password data on the local PC. I use RoboForm. Okay, that's what we call a venerable password manager. And since I do not sync my data, the vault is only on my PC. That's excellent. I think this is so much safer. It is. Someone breaks into my PC, they still have to decrypt it. I'd probably know that my PC was hacked. Certainly a lot sooner than I would have been notified about the breach with LastPass. True. One nice enhancement that I would like to know about is any other password manager. Is there a password manager that stores the login info on my local PC but allows me to sync by Bluetooth or local Wi-Fi? That's a great question.
Ooh.
There are many. So this is actually an interesting philosophical question from my point of view. So you have all password managers have an encrypted blob that's your passwords and the sites you visit and all that stuff. It's strongly encrypted if it's done right. So even if somebody got it, they would have to put a lot of effort into breaking it, which is so far we think is true for the LastPass vaults as well, by the way. So that's good. But an extra step would be not to put that thing on the public internet. Right. Of course, that's inherently risky. And so there are a number of password managers, including our sponsor, Bitwarden, which allow you to host your own vault. Now, you can do what you're doing with RoboForm, which is just put it on your PC. But the problem with that is, now you got a phone and you're on the road and your password vault's at home.
What do I do?
And what's really important, I think the philosophical point to underscore is, yes, there's a theoretical risk of putting your password vault online, but there's an even higher risk of not using your password manager. Much, and it's not theoretical, higher risk. So is it a little bit of a trade-off, the convenience of being able to use a password everywhere? So that's why I keep mine on the Bitwarden vault, and I use the LastPass vault. And that's a convenience. But there are a lot of password managers that let you host your own vault. Bitwarden does. 1Password, I think, will let you do that. Which is those are the two best known password managers. There's open source password managers like KeePassX that you can put on your computer that will allow you to do that. 1Password does what you wanted, what you mentioned in the email, which is when you get within the vicinity of your 1Password vault, you can sync it with Bluetooth. But again, it's only up to date
if you've synced it.
So if you then take your phone and put it in your pocket, add a few passwords, then go on the road before you resync, it's not going to have those
passwords. Yeah.
So I kind of like the idea, and I think this is a good way to this is a good intermediate thing. The very real risk of having the password company store it is that's a central point of attack, just as LastPass was attacked. That gives people a place to hit, right? Mm-hmm. Having it local is absolutely more secure, as long as you know how to secure stuff, right? I mean, there's always that risk, but the risk is all on your shoulders. But it's less convenient. There's a middle ground you could use where remember, this blob is heavily encrypted, and you make sure you do that properly. And then you store it somewhere that's not the company's cloud, like OneDrive or iCloud or Dropbox, somewhere like that. And many password managers, certainly Bitwarden and 1Password, will let you do that. So it's self-hosted. The advantage of that is there's not a central point of attack, and I'm not going after the Bitwarden servers. They'd have to know that your Dropbox had your password blob on it, and they'd have to get into your Dropbox. Then they'd get the blob. Then they'd have to brute force it. I think that's enough protection that it's nothing to worry about. Remember, I think you're the same. I use the company's password vault, right? You don't self-host your password.
Oh, correct. Yes, yeah. I do not self-host. Yeah. Correct.
So and I think Steve Gibson, the same thing. But that's because we're comfortable with the, I think, small but finite risk that, somebody could get it.
To get the convenience.
Yeah.
We're okay with that.
If you really want what Steve calls a trust no one solution, where no one has access to it, you can store it and then sync it. And all the open source password managers that work that way, KeePassX is the one I'd recommend. KeePassXC is the one I'd recommend. That works that way. Bitwarden works that way. If you want, you can host your vault anywhere. Bitwarden does not have built-in Bluetooth synchronization. You'd have to do a manual synchronization. You could use, and I would recommend a thing that Steve and I both use called SyncThing, open source free software that will synchronize different computers. So if you wanted to do this, host it yourself, you have the vault somewhere, you use SyncThing, which is secure and encrypted, to sync that vault to other devices, including your phones, iOS and Android. You can also do it that way. And then SyncThing, you don't have to think about it. It works in the background. It just keeps them up to date.
So then that is kind of like a true self-hosting.
It would work pretty well. It's more complicated than I'm willing to do.
Yeah.
And by the way, I use SyncThing for all my data. I have it syncing to my Synology NAS, so I have a NAS backup of everything. I trust SyncThing. It's highly encrypted. It's encrypted in transit. It's encrypted at rest. It does everything right. Actually, the data is only encrypted at rest if you encrypt it, but SyncThing is encrypted in transit. And it does a very good job, and it has this discovery features and stuff built in, NAT traversal built in. So there's a lot of nice features of it. So that would be a good way to put your vault, have your vault on your NAS or on your PC that it has to be something that's always on, right? Because you're on the road, and if your PC's off at home, you're not going to be able to sync. But a NAS is a good example. It's always on. Again, though, people are going to say, well, yeah, but I don't want my NAS exposed to the public internet. There's all these
little trade-offs and little.
Do we have Rod yet? No, yet. All right, we're hoping that someday Rod Pyle, our
will touch
spaceman.
down.
I have the Pyle here. Maybe this will
invoke,
like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
If I bring out the Pyle, this is his pile. Not even the full pile of his books, his magazines, everything Rod has ever written. If I bring out the Pyle, maybe a nuclear chain reaction will happen. Did I tell you I saw Oppenheimer?
No, you did. Oh, yes, you did.
I saw it on IMAX on the 70 millimeter film. How big is that IMAX screen, John? It's like 5 stories tall or something. It's huge. And the first scene in Oppenheimer is Oppenheimer's face. And I'm in the 5th row with my buddies because I thought it was the 5th row from the back. It was the 5th row from the front. You kind of want to be in the middle of the middle.
Yeah, because that's going to be neck cramps.
And the movie's starting. The lights go down. I'm looking. I'm going, oh, I hope this isn't too close. And then Oppenheimer's giant face on the screen. And I'm going, oh, I hope the whole movie's not like this. It wasn't, unfortunately. But there were a lot of very tight close-ups. And I got to tell you, those actors are brave.
Every pore.
No one should ever, ever have to do an IMAX film in close-up. And those tight close-ups. And I don't care how much makeup.
Yeah.
First of all, you can't use that much makeup.
I was going to say that would be tough to do to hide the makeup.
And I was very impressed by Emily Blunt, beautiful woman. And she's just brave. She's brave. Cillian Murphy, handsome guy.
Brave.
I just wanted to reach out and just like pluck a hair. Cillian, this eyebrow hair? Just want to get that.
Just that one. It's just straggling there.
So no Rod Pyle. So I think we should do a phone call. I see somebody's named Leo Laporte. I'm going to think that's not the guy.
That's probably not you.
That's not me. Let's do a video question. That would be a great idea. Or a voicemail, either one. What do we got?
Hello, Leo and Mikah. This is Dan, and I am in my storage room.
Oh,
I would like to be able to do my taxes using artificial intelligence, but I don't know which program would I use to approach that. I would like it to be able to, let's say, take a look at a spreadsheet, sort things quickly, and then maybe throw all that data into a separate spreadsheet that would organize by category and do this all in a few seconds because I need to itemize my taxes. And rather than me spend hours and hours of laborious work.
Me too.
And so what would be the best approach to that? And can I give it verbal commands? Can it save those commands so that if I want to do it again, that would be saved? Or do I get another person to just kind of set this up for me? Anyway, thanks a lot. Love the show. And I look forward to hearing from you.
Oh, if only this were something. But, I would not trust. Would you trust an AI? No.
As soon as you no. The first thing is no. No. Don't trust the AI.
Don't trust the AI.
Love to be able to trust the AI if it was so advanced that it would be. You can't.
This is a good example of how AI hype has really gotten out of control.
That's exactly right.
People really think AI can do everything. In fact, I just saw a study from IBM that said that 40% of jobs would be lost to AI like in the next year, and people better go find a better job or upskill. No, that's not true.
Yeah. Wait, IBM said that?
Yes.
It's because they've got their AI?
Yeah. You know what it is? It's hype. It's BS. Don't be afraid. AI, as we're learning, really is just a gimmick. In most cases, what AI is good at is synopsizing stuff.
Yes.
Synthesizing existing information. But if you ask AI to do math, just ask it to do math.
Yeah.
It gets it wrong. You don't want it to do your taxes. AI is actually getting worse at doing math. Did you see that?
I did. Yes.
It's getting worse.
Because it's got too much input and it can't figure out what's the actual truth and final. That's the thing is it doesn't tell the truth.
It's not set up
to. It tells what it thinks is the best answer.
It's not programmed.
It doesn't even think what it's the best answer.
It's not programmed to that's not the mission.
Yeah, it's not. Accuracy is not the mission.
So here's the interesting thing.
In the classic sense.
We have been ripped off for years by companies like H&R Block and Intuit, who charge you for tax preparation software. They have lobbied hard to keep the government from offering free tax prep software. The government can and wants to, and in many other countries, in Scandinavia, I'm told you get a postcard that says, we think this is what you owe. Is that right? Okay, just check this box and that's it. You're done.
Gosh,
they do your taxes for you. So fortunately, the good news is I think awareness of this scam has been raised. H&R Block and Intuit, who make the two number one tax prep programs out there, are a little chagrined. You know, last year they said, well, we got a couple of years ago, we got a free version, but yeah, go ahead and do the free version because by the end they're going to want
be paying.
You're going to be paying $70 no matter what. Oh, I can't do that. You're going to have to pay me for that. You want to file it? Oh, wait a minute. I didn't know you.
I just thought you wanted to,
do the math for you. So there are plenty of programs out there that you can input your data, but you still got to manually key it in. I do think that the IRS can do your taxes. You may not trust them, but I would trust them more than the artificial intelligence, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, IRS will have paperless tax filings for 2024. Thank God, April 15th, we'll be able to do that. AI is not your answer. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, that as much as we wish we could wave a magical wand and make that happen, no, that's not. And my fear is that after asking the question here and hearing this, you might go somewhere else and try to find something. And I beg of you not to do that.
Yeah.
It's just not going to get it right. And then you're going to end up, what the worst possible thing is, getting a letter from the IRS saying, hey, we think you did your taxes wrong, and here's what we think you actually owe. And then you have to go through that whole process. And that's not fun.
So according to the Associated Press, thank you, Scooter X, for the link, the IRS is going to launch a pilot program in 2024 to test direct file system. If it goes well, then they will decide whether to move forward, unless Intuit and H&R Block offers them a black bag full of cash.
Mm-hmm.
They will move forward on this. There's no reason. There is literally no reason except that these companies want to make money off of you for there not to be free filing software. Now, if you have a complicated return, I do, because my return includes TWIT.
Yeah.
And, Lisa and I have a very good CPA who does our taxes. It is worth it. That's better than an AI. It's a few $100. Depends on how complicated your taxes are. But all I do, it's nice. It's so nice. I used to do my own taxes. You probably do.
I do, yeah. Because mine's only slightly complicated with the stuff that I do for Relay. So
right. If you're an employee with a W-2 and a 1090 or even a 1099, 1099 gets a little complicated. But if you're with an employee with W-2, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can use if you can use a 1040 EZ, it's pretty straightforward. But if you are using, and we file Schedule C for small business, and you probably do too, and that's where it gets complicated.
Yep.
And there's lots of deductions, and there's lots of thises and that's depreciation. That's fun. So I would say get an accountant. That's like an AI, only it's a human.
It's a human being who's been trained to do this and knows what they're talking about and is actually aiming at accuracy.
Yeah. Now I have to say I do my mom's taxes, and I pay for it. I use TurboTax, and there's a lot of advantages. It remembers all the stuff I entered in years gone by.
A lot of it can be imported even for it's new.
Her, it logs into her savings and her, her investments, pulls all that data. I don't have to do any of that.
Yeah. So there's AI involved in that, right?
It's pretty quick. I have to say, it's pretty quick. And it's $70. Actually, it's more like $159 now because 70 for state, 70 for federal. And I think they add $13 to e-file. It's really a gimmick.
They'll get you. Yeah.
They get you. Anyway, don't do the AI. It's funny how the AI hype train has really taken off.
That's honestly, I have to say, that actually did make me feel a little bit scared when that question came in. That I'm worried about other people heading down that path and like typing into ChatGPT, here is my tax information. Can you do my taxes for me?
Yeah.
And then, of course, in the Discord, someone has posted the dating simulator that helps you prepare your taxes. I don't know if you heard about that, but there's a game you can play. It's a dating simulator game.
Yeah.
And it will help you do your taxes.
At the end of it, your taxes are done?
I don't know how complete your taxes are by the end of it, but yeah, it tries to help you do your taxes.
I married Lisa, so I didn't have to do taxes.
It's one of a few reasons.
She's an enrolled agent. Yeah, I get it. There's,
other reasons.
Other reasons too.
Oh, I guess it's been taken away since then. The dating simulator.
They will say on TurboTax, and I'm sure H&R Block does as well, we use AI to check your return.
Yeah.
That's just
advertising.
Yeah.
All it is looking at the numbers and then looking at the other numbers and making sure they add up. Yeah. Which is what programs
I guess Rod has lost our phone number. So I promised you Rod Pyle, but they've taken the Pyle away from me.
Ground control to Major Pyle.
That's good. I like it. Maybe if I play the Space Force theme 3 times.
Now that actually could summon.
He might appear, but all the rest of us will disappear.
Oh.
All right, do it. Email? Oh, I have to do that. You shouldn't make an old man.
Maybe we should put it over my shoulder.
Do the rotator cuff.
Yeah, I'm worried about his rotator cuff.
I'm going to need Tommy John surgery.
And that's a really hard one to recover from. Or it takes a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Rotator cuff surgery.
I won't be pitching my fastball for some time. Here's one from Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Sam.
I think he might be in Australia.
Oh, we can't answer this one then. Sorry, you got to send that to the external country department.
Yeah. Domain migration. I have an email service with Ionos. Ionos. I-O-N-O-S. Never heard of them. They host my domain and emails. I'm happy with Ionos. Like their tech support. Spam filtering could be better, and the CalDAV calendar is not existing unless I upgrade MS Exchange, which is expensive and I do not wish to do. How do I move my emails to FastMail but keep the domain with Ionos? So that I already have a personal email with FastMail, but I want to use my domain on FastMail subscription, the other 2 email addresses I use for tech support.
That's super easy, actually.
It is easy.
Name servers. Just change the name servers.
Yeah. So if you know how DNS works, I could show you probably without risking my security.
Let's let Leo check that first.
I have a long history
we switch over to
of revealing far too much information.
Nah.
Phone numbers, etc. So here's you can show this. This is my FastMail. And these are all the domains I have hosted on FastMail. How do I do that? Well, most of these domains are registered somewhere else. Now, I don't know if Ionos is what Ionos is, but if they give you access to your DNS settings, the simplest thing to do, and this is what I've done for most of these, is I registered the domains with a registrar, but I don't use the registrar's DNS. The DNS is the phone book. You can use somebody else's DNS and change the DNS. And so I've changed for all of these domains, I've changed the DNS to FastMail. And what happens is when email comes to any of these, it comes into my FastMail inbox, which sounds like what you want. And because it's FastMail, I can have an unlimited number of names. So let's pick one that I don't actually use.
You could go through the fake process just to add a domain in at the top.
Yeah.
And the wizard.
So I can customize the DNS. You have, I don't want to log in again. But what I do is I go to hover, and it's actually very simple. FastMail has instructions on this that are very good, and I'll show you.
It's like a little wizard.
Yeah, and basically all you're going to do, let's see, this isn't what I want. All you're going to do is at somewhere on Ionos, you're going to say, no, I don't want you to host my DNS. Here are the DNS servers, which in this case would be ns1.fastmail.com and ns2.fastmail.com. You change the DNS to that, then check it at FastMail. Tell FastMail I want to add my domain. Here, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it right now. Mikah.
Oh wait, you need to click add first. That's just searching your current domains.
Oh, add or buy a domain.
And then
use a domain you already know. Oh yeah, you're all right. Mikah is cool.pizza. Okay. It's checking it. It says, well, wait a minute. No. Oh, it looks good. Okay. Oh, I guess it means no one else owns it. Or maybe I do own this. Okay. And then, do you own? This is where do you own that? Where is your domain registered? Now, IONOS is not there, nor is hover.
So we could choose other.
So you choose other. And then, okay. Then continue. Okay. Then you tell them how you want this to, your email choice. leo@mikahscool.pizza. Mail to send to any other address will be sent to me. Yeah, fine. Any of the addresses at Michael is cool. So now I have them all. Okay, continue. Now, are you using a website? No, I don't have a website. So that makes it very much easier. So now it says, go to your control panel supplied by your domain registrar, and then look to where to change the name servers. So the thing that probably is the takeaway from this is that there is something called a registrar, which is a company that is licensed by ICANN, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, which is a non-governmental organization that runs the Internet names and numbers. They franchise registrars. The registrars, like Hover, like Domain Cheap. There's a million of them. Google used to be one. They've just sold their business to Squarespace.
Yeah, that's right.
Those guys can take money for registration. They then send that information, mikahscool.pizza, to the 13 big name servers ICANN runs. That's the giant phone book of the internet. That way, then everybody can see that when I go to mikahscool.pizza, it takes me to that site, right? But there's more than just sites. There's also email. There's other things that as you know, that domain can represent. So you buy that. Most registrars, like GoDaddy, make their money not selling you the name, but selling you a website and other services associated with the name. So they're going to act as if, now we are going to host your website. Right. No, that doesn't have to be that way. All they've done is send taken your money, $10 a year or whatever, and send that to the big domain and name system in the sky. And that's the only thing they need to do. And you can renew through them. You can move it to another registrar, but you don't need to move it to another registrar. One of the services they offer is to host your domain, but you don't need to do it. You can have anybody host your email or your domain or both. And so that's what you're doing. You're telling the registrar, the people hosting my domain or hosting my mail is FastMail. That's built in. The registrar can't say no to that. They may try to mislead you. They may do some hand waving.
Please,
because remember, most of these companies like GoDaddy make all their money with services, not with the registration. GoDaddy's the biggest domain registrar in the world, but mostly what they do is they're selling hosting. So, but I don't want them to host. I just want them. I want to buy a domain name from them, and I'm going to host somewhere else, Squarespace or WordPress or whatever. And I want my email at FastMail. You could do both. That's why FastMail said, do you have a website? Because it's different instructions.
One of the rare places where you can have it all.
You can.
You can have your cake and eat it too here.
You can. Hey, where's my Pyle?
I think Pyle is coming up next after this little break. It's time for Rod Pyle.
It worked, but it worked very slowly to invoke Rod Pyle's.
It's, sending those signals so far away to space to get in touch.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Rod Pyle is 12 billion miles away from the Earth. So it took 17 hours for me to get these fabulous books. Interplanetary Robots, True Stories of Space Exploration, one of Rod's books. Amazing Stories of the Space Age, another one of Rod's books. Look at this one.
That's cool.
Blueprint for a Death Star.
That's definitely the title.
It's not the Death Star because we don't want George to get mad. It's a battle star.
That's a space station.
He's the editor-in-chief of Ad Astra Magazine, International Space Society, National Space Society. Not international. There's just this nation. And you'll get to talk in a bit, Rod. First, I have to tell you everything about the Pyle. And this is the book I'm not going to throw because it's going to kill somebody if I do.
It is.
The First on the Moon, the Apollo 11 50th Anniversary Experience. I love this book. So much that I bought two, one for my coffee table at home and one for the Pyle. Hello, Rod Pyle, spaceman.
Hello, sir. And that Battlestar book was supposed to be how to build the Death Star. But just as we were getting ready to go to press, Disney bought the Star Wars franchise and the publisher went, uh-oh.
Don't want to mess with Disney.
We'll call it something else. Yeah.
Love Rod Pyle. Rod Pyle, most importantly, is host of This Week in Space with Tarek Malik on this same very network. And
Sure.
I can bet that this week you'll be talking about Russia.
Oh, poor Russia. Yeah.
I don't,
Today was the
this
day.
is one where I'm trying not to go, woohoo!
You're trying not to gloat. I know.
So what happened?
Well, it's hard. And, being boomers, you and I, even though we were kind of near the tail end of it, I don't know about
By the
you,
way,
but
what happens if at the end of being a boomer?
Well, you end up having a little tweak of nationalism every time you hear one of these things. Because we grew up during
in the
space
space
race,
race. Yeah.
So, the Soviet Union was going great guns in the 50s and 60s with space. 70s, they still did really well with space stations, but they'd given up on the moon. And then they kept kind of a steady cadence up with the space stations for decades, and then eventually joined in with the International Space Station, of course.
Which is fine. When we were allies, cooperating, collaborating, great. But then Roscosmos became politicized.
Yes, very much so. And they've had a lot of problems. So towards the end of us using Soyuz to get up to the space station for our astronauts, because the shuttle wasn't flying anymore, they started having reliability problems with that previously very reliable crewed spacecraft. And for the last few years, I think their budget's at this point a couple $2 billion a year, a little more, not very much. And they're having a lot of problems. So Luna-25, which was going to be their first robotic landing on the moon since 1976, and they returned samples, small amount of samples, robotically, was supposed to land to the South Pole. This is going to be a big deal. They were just going to beat India by a few days, and they were going to go and, prospect hopefully for water. Sorry, there's a helicopter going over. For water ice on lunar pole. Now, this was not a rover. It was just a lander, but that was still the hope. Unfortunately...
Wait a minute. Here comes the Navy SEALs.
The Air Force here, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Unfortunately, apparently a couple of days ago, they did an orbital maneuver and it didn't go correctly, and it sent the spacecraft into an impact trajectory on the lunar surface, and bye-bye Luna-25. That said, India's Chandrayaan-3 and they've had an okay record there. They had one problem and one success, where they're flying right around here. Thank you very much. Stormwatch, I guess. Chandrayaan's supposed to land on the 23rd or 24th, and that actually has a small rover and will do some prospecting. So when I say prospecting, I don't mean drilling.
Everybody is going to, is it the South Pole where the water is?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to speak up, Leo.
Is everybody going to the South Pole where the water is?
Yeah.
And even China is playing. In fact, Russia now is going to do a deal. Instead of working with us and the ESA, they're going to work with China to put something on the South Pole. And now we're going to see the politicization of space, I'm afraid.
Very much so. So in the interim, Russia does have 2 or 3 more landers planned, including a drill. So they're going to go try and drill for ice and see if they can find it in a couple of years, if it works. They're just, they had a lot of brain drain after the end of the Soviet Union and in the ensuing years because of low pay and bad working conditions and so forth, as I understand it. And, they're just not up to snuff anymore as far as this stuff is concerned.
Is there is there a loss to science from this crash?
Oh, I think so. Anything at the South Pole is new because we've never been there with anything. So that would have been very exciting. And certainly if the Indian landing occurs properly, that'll be very exciting because they're going to be able to drive around at least for one lunar day, a couple of weeks, and look for things. So we're really looking forward to that. But yeah, this was not a good ending to their attempt. And as you point out, they're now in this China-Russia alliance to build their own lunar base. So we have a plan to eventually have a crewed base, hopefully on the lunar South Pole.
This is straight out of the TV show Space Force.
Well, and For All Mankind, right?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
In a more serious vein, For All Mankind covered this. Yeah.
And so, because of geopolitics, Russia and China decided to ally on this thing, and they're inviting other people to participate. So far, not many countries have signed up for that. On the American side, we have the Artemis Accords. Russia was invited, China was not. And that's an international cooperation to do work around the moon and on the lunar surface. And so far, 25 countries have signed up for that, including India just recently. So we could have competing lunar bases. And the question then becomes, if those bases succeed in being deployed, are they going to cooperate? Is it going to be like the Antarctic, where you put politics aside, and if somebody has an emergency, of course you help out, or are we going to have cold shoulders? And we just don't know at this point.
It's bad enough that we have this disease of nationalism on the planet Earth. It's really sad if we spread it to space, but I think it's probably inevitable, unfortunately.
Well, there's this divide in the space big think community about what the future is going to be like. And there's a fair number of people who think it's going to be very Star Trek-like and we're all going to get along and somehow we're going to leave our human impulses behind when we go into space and cooperate and everything is warm and fuzzy. But I think increasingly we realize it's probably going to be more like The Expanse, where we're people, and we evolve from primates and we take all our prejudices to some extent and our animosity with us. It's actually been really surprising over the decades in space flight how well people have cooperated. I mean, the way that we were able to work with the Russians and others at the International Space Station was really quite extraordinary. And it went very well, even when things were falling apart on the ground with the invasion of Ukraine. Up there at the space station, it was fine. They were doing very well and they were putting it aside because there's kind of a brotherhood of spaceflight, I think, once you're actually one of the people up there. How that'll play out in the future is anybody's guess.
Roscosmos, which is the NASA of Russia, the press release, maybe it's a bad translation, said that Luna-25, quote, ceased to exist as a result of a collision with the lunar surface.
Right. That was a Google Translate.
I think that's a poor translation.
Yeah.
I hope it is.
Base.com said that was a Google. We do have another interesting story, which we covered on the podcast about a week ago. There's a little bit of shuffling going on at NASA because of budget cuts. They were not given the increase that they hoped for 2024. So they're looking for places to trim costs. One of them is the New Horizons program, which you probably remember flew past Pluto, first spacecraft to ever do that in 2015, and flew past a Kuiper Belt object way out beyond the rim of the solar system in 2019 called Arrokoth, or some people knew it as Ultima Thule earlier on. And that spacecraft has been proceeding on just fine since then under the leadership of a gent named Alan Stern, who got very famous around that. And at this point, it costs about the same to run that spacecraft out in the Kuiper Belt as it costs to run the Voyagers in interstellar space. So about $7-8 million a year. That's with a million, not with a B, but with an M. And that's with a very small crew behind the operations and a very simple operational setup. They're not using the big Mission Control Center at JPL. Unfortunately, that's one of the places they're looking to cut. So they're trying to cut that budget about in half. Not quite shut the spacecraft all the way down, but just have it kind of look around and say, oh, there's this many particles in the Kuiper Belt in my immediate area. Alan Stern, of course, wants to keep the mission running because he's got enough fuel and stuff aboard to do at least one, maybe two more encounters and run this thing out possibly till 2050. So there's a bit of a citizens campaign going on to try and bring some pressure to bear because we're talking about a difference of about $3.5 million. This is a rounding error. This is a lunch error for a federal agency, a lunch budget, I mean. So there's a campaign going on over at change.org. Do you mind if I give you the URL?
Please.
Oh, both of you at the same time.
I was ready to type it in.
It's go.nss.org/new-horizons. And we've got a petition there.
I'm curious to ask, too, when it comes to this kind of thing, where does most of that money go to? Is it paying the people who are on the ground who are monitoring it regularly? Is it the power that we're putting into it because like the thing is fueled, it's already been built, it's out there. So what are the costs associated with this at this point? That's
a really excellent question. It's been about $1 billion with a B to get it there and operate up till now. So the remaining costs, a little bit of it's in infrastructure, but most of it's for the people. Mm-hmm. And as I said, it's a fairly small crew. And you have to pay for the space that you're using and keep the equipment running on the ground and so forth. But most of it's for payroll. So these are American jobs. So that's
Has
not a bad
NASA
thing.
decided that there's no more science to be gained from New Horizons?
No, because anything that's operating out there, especially in deep space like this, there's always science. Because other than the Voyagers, we've never been there. And let's bear in mind, the Voyagers are 46 years old. Half their instruments are shut off because they aged out. Their power is going down. We reached the point of halfway through the half-life of the plutonium fuel supply. So they're probably only really going to be viable for science for a handful of more years. And the instruments they're using were designed in the 60s and built in the 70s.
Right.
So New Horizons is out there with essentially brand new equipment operating with a very robust nuclear fuel supply. So it's a whole different level of science, This
is something NASA has to do all the time, though, is triage on their budget. They don't have enough money to do all the things that they want to do. And so some of the things have to be canceled. And
and they do. But, personally, I'd like to see a few million maybe carved out, again, million with a B, with an M, not a B, carved out of, SLS, and put here.
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, let's take some money out of the F-35 program, which is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, billions at this point, and put it there. But, they don't ask me because they're smart.
Yeah. Well, maybe the petition will help. Change.org is hosting it. Save New Horizons, the Pluto flyby and Kuiper Belt exploration mission on its way to ultimate Thule. I hope it gets there. And I hope we can talk to it when it does. That seems only fair.
Yeah.
It's already spent $1 billion.
Exactly.
Why throw it away at this point?
Well, and that's really the sense. If it was going to cost another $1 billion to run it, I get it. But and we have another very expensive program, which I like, called Mars Sample Return. But as happens with these things, that's supposed to happen around 2030. But as happens, the costs have been ballooning to the point where it's going to be almost as much as the web at about 10 billion with a B. So, there are places to get a few $1 million. I think that's the way to look at it. Cut back on janitorial services or something.
Write your Congress critter, honestly. Because, that's a Cory Doctorow term. By the way, Cory and his co-author, Rebecca Giblin, will be our hosts on Twit this afternoon. Let me ask about the storm. Are you in San Diego or LA today?
I'm in Long Beach. That's
Long
the
Beach.
Queen Mary back there.
Yeah.
And I came down to last night to double tie my lines and check for leaks and all that. And I'm just going to sit this one out down
You're
here.
going to lash yourself to the mast no matter what comes.
Well, you probably are more up on the news than I am, because I expect you have like banks of teletypes in your back room going, chunk, 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 printing out the news.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's not going to be that bad. Mainly, I just have to be here to take care of leaks and look after wind damage. And I've got a couple of friends with boats that can't be here, so I'm going to be looking after their stuff.
That's nice.
But, yeah, it hasn't really hit yet. Are you guys getting rain up there yet?
No. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be in the path. We're talking about the hurricane that is headed towards Southern California. First time in a long time, the Southern California's had a hurricane.
1939.
But it's slowly. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm not a meteorologist.
Yeah, my latest understanding is we might see just a sprinkling here. Oh, in fact, Burke is saying it is sprinkle.
It's sprinkling now. Wow.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just chatting with some folks down in San Diego a while ago, and it sounds like it's going through there pretty hard. But still,
Dr. Mom's in San Diego. She says they're getting some raining.
What I feel bad about is we get no news about what's happening to people down in Baja, and it has
hit Baja, and that is a beautiful area. And I feel, Los Cabos and
there's
Todos
a lot of people living in substandard conditions down there. Tons of mudslides. It's fairly arid, so I'm very concerned about the folks down in Mexico.
I agree. It has made landfall in Baja, so.
And in Baja, it's still hurricane force, right?
Yeah, although as always, when it hits land, it tends to lose some energy. So let's hope. Let's cross our fingers. And,
prayers for those folks.
Nature's angry, and we gotta appease Mother Nature.
I think nature's had it with us.
She's done. She says that's it. Let's just start over, do over.
There's still some arguing. I go on the online forums, as we all do, and still see some people saying, "Oh, they're going to say this is because of climate change." It's like, well, when something happens once every 100 years,
at what point?
Very small average.
I'm just curious. At what point will you finally say, "Oh yeah, maybe we did overpollute the environment"?
Yeah, maybe a century and a half of putting all this stuff in the atmosphere wasn't a good idea.
At what point do you say, "Gosh, this could be related"? I don't know.
I don't think
I'm crazy.
Ever do.
Yeah, maybe you never do.
Well, and not to politicize it, but working up at JPL, for a few months a year, I chat with people up there, and I have yet to meet one scientist that questions whether or not this is due to man-made effects. And they're scared, because they see the data right as it comes off the satellites. They're very, very, very concerned about it, and really don't feel they have a voice. So
yeah, it's not good. Rod Pyle has a voice. He is our spaceman. Listen to This Week in Space every week. twit.tv/twists. What day and time do you do it?
We record Friday mornings, and it posts about 3:00 Pacific time on Friday, every Friday.
Do we stream the? No, we don't. So you have to wait. You can't, because we don't want anybody to hear the dad jokes ahead of time. You have to wait and listen on the.
You know what's really weird? I mean, I kind of threw that in just as a lark, but we're getting a moderate amount of fan mail, and at least 80% of it says, "Love the bad jokes." And that's the first time I've heard anybody say, "I love the bad jokes." So,
you found your people, Rod. Congratulations.
My tribe at last.
Stay safe.
All due to you.
Stay safe.
Thank you,
if it gets crazy, get out of there, okay? You don't have to save the boat. Just get out of there.
Yeah, if it gets bad, I'm driving up to your house.
Yeah, please.
But I hear you have eros in every room.
Every room. I've got little plumes everywhere. Thank you, Rod. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye. Spaceman. We didn't play Space Force theme.
Oh.
Shucks, that's the only chance all week long I get the chance to do it. 888-724-2884 is our phone number. We've got some lines open right now. You can also zoom in at call.twit.tv. And we've also got lots of email. I'm going to dig through some of this because we're getting behind.
It's stacked. Is there voicemail?
We're getting behind because it's behind me. All right, let's see here. Again, you printed it upside down.
That one's upside down.
That joke never gets old.
We love the bad jokes.
Never gets old. Email program for multiple accounts and affordable camera, says Tony from Richmond, Virginia. Hi, Leo and Mikah, longtime listener. Tech TV was big shortly after I moved here from Ireland. First time reaching out, I have two questions for you. One, I have lots of email accounts, including Gmail and domain email, probably upwards of 10 accounts. What is the best and most affordable program to use to bring all my mailboxes together? Now, I didn't say if he's on Windows, Mac, or Linux.
Okay.
So, but presuming that the email providers are all using IMAP or something like it, or I guess POP, those are the two primary mail protocols, POP3 and IMAP. Assuming that they're doing that, almost any email program will gather it all up and sort it and put it in order and even put it all in one inbox.
And it's hard to say which one is best because it's all personal preference, right? There are all these little tools and tricks that each one offers. You may be happy with the standard mail program that comes with your device.
Yeah.
With the software.
Yeah. I think if you want one program that looks the same and operates the same everywhere and is most likely to work with everything and uses a very standard format for the email, I would say Thunderbird from the Mozilla Foundation. Thunderbird. That's free and on every client. I use something like that is really old and weird called Claws. CLAWS. Claws Mail. I use it because it's very highly configurable, and it runs on Linux as well as Mac.
Wow.
Windows.
And it was made in...
That is an old-looking site, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pre-Web 2.
Whew. So which is why I'm not recommending it. However, it is what I use.
How long have you been using it?
Oh, gosh, forever. I don't know. Maybe there isn't a Mac port for it. I know I use it on the Mac, so maybe you just have to install it as a Linux app on the Mac, but there's a Windows version. It really started for me with Windows because there wasn't a mail program I liked on Windows. You had to use Outlook. Outlook just dominated, and I never ever liked Outlook. So I ended up finding a variety of weird choices on the Windows side, including claws. But start with Thunderbird.
Yep.
It doesn't care how many email accounts you have.
There are a few that I would recommend, but they all ended up going pay to play. And
yeah.
They are kind of expensive.
Thunderbird's the only one that's still free. For a while, it almost died. Now somebody in the chat room saying Eudora, that was the king of email programs for a long time, but I don't think it's still around, but maybe I'm wrong. Question 2, says Tony. What is the most affordable camera to use that will not break the bank for a more professional picture? Wow. They're not that affordable.
No.
For a long time, recommended the Canon. Yeah, you're a smartphone. John Ashley's waving his phone around like a crazy person. Are you trying to reach me or just that's the answer?
I think he's calling you. Yeah.
For a long time, Canon made a camera called the EOS Rebel. Remember that?
I do remember the Rebel. Yeah.
And they had like Billie Jean King playing tennis and taking pictures or something like that for the ads. They still make it. It's still fairly affordable. It uses Canon lenses. So this is this current? The EOS Rebel T7. It has a lens that comes with it, although you can replace it. So it's kind of an entry level into the Canon lens system. $400. That's not a bad price. I mean, given what you're getting, this is not a full frame sensor. A lot of times camera pros will talk about the size of the sensor, behind the lens. Instead of film, they've actually replaced it with something that looks like a little piece of film that's an electronic sensor. This is using an APS-C sensor, which is about 80% of the size of a full frame. Full frame looks like they call it full frame because it looks like a 35 millimeter frame of film. The APS-C is about half that, I think. So smaller sensor means a little bit lower quality, not a lot lower quality, but it's not as good at low light because the pixels are smaller, that kind of thing. Most pros use a full frame or larger. The bigger the sensor, the more the price. And there are lots of good full frame cameras out there. I shoot Sony, but I've shot Canon for years. A lot of folks like Nikon. I think that for $399, this Rebel is probably a good place to go. I would say, if that's in your price range. Was it Andre Agassi that?
Yeah, that is the problem, right? Yeah. Everybody's definition of affordable is different.
Now, this is not a point and shoot. You can get less expensive point and shoots. Pentax makes a good one. Olympus actually makes great point and shoots.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that's a dying category. And the problem is it's kind of a dead end by itself. You can't change the lens. You can't do anything to it. Those are going to be a little bit less expensive. Not a lot, maybe a couple $100 less. But this, you can change lenses. You can do more with it. And the good news is when you buy a lens for this camera, it is a camera lens that you can use on other bodies with Canon. And so there is an advantage to that too. The glass is the most important part of your camera.
What about mirrorless stuff, Leo?
That's a really good question. I would say Sony has some good APS-C mirrorless. What do you think, Benito? Do you have a favorite?
There's the Canon M200, I think it is.
See, I haven't kept up with the mirrorless from Canon and Nikon because they were so far behind.
This is the camera we used to recommend at Twitch for people to use for video.
For streaming?
Yeah.
Okay. It is what they call a vlogging camera. It looks like it does have a removable lens. It's a little more expensive.
It's a micro lens though, yeah.
Yeah. $450. It is going to be APS-C as well. Canon, Sony, and maybe even Nikon make these vlogging cameras. The idea being that they can stream for lengthy periods of time, and the LCD on the back is articulated, which means you can look at yourself.
Oh, it's me.
I can see myself. Has a built-in flash. That's a nice feature. This would be certainly a very good camera. You can change the lens. So if you wanted to get a wider angle or a longer lens, you could do that.
Kind of like how small it is too.
Yeah, it's a little more expensive than the Rebel. It's probably a little more modern. Nowadays, so older cameras like the Rebel had a prism, like a mirror. You press the button, the mirror would retract. That's what all that clanking was. You take the picture, then the mirror would go back in place. And that was so you could do through the lens viewing, so you'd see what the picture was going to be as the lens saw it. Modern cameras don't have that clunky mechanism, which makes them less expensive and more compact, and instead use what they call a camera tap. They actually look at the picture that the sensor is seeing, which takes some getting used to, but if you've never had an optical sensor, they probably wouldn't notice the difference. I like Sony. I think Sony is the state of the art, and their sensors are the state of the art. So, yeah, that would be a good choice. It is a little pricey. It's actually more than the Rebel of all things, $449, but probably a little bit more future proof. So you ask 12 photographers this question, you're gonna get 12 answers.
You're gonna get 12 or more,
or more,
because they might ask.
I just gave you 2.
Yeah.
So yeah. There's no right answer for sure.
Yeah, and it's all about defining what affordable means too, because affordable means different things to different people.
Right. So. I think for a good camera, you're going to want to spend a few $100 for sure.
I just saw a flick of the wrist that suggested the breaking of a stick, which suggests that maybe we should take a break before we come back.
I need a breather.
Let's do that. Let's breathe.
And now I see Billy. I see Billy on the line. I see Douglas. So let's do Douglas. Douglas is in space. Douglas, we're picking you up. We're sending you to the Star Chamber,
the final
for your
frontier.
Interrogation.
Hello, guys.
Hey, how you doing, Douglas?
Good. So last week I called about the issue with getting my files copied over to my documents on Mac.
Yeah, and since you called, I have read a number of reports that when iCloud Desktop is turned on, you're going to have problems with file copying.
Well, I fixed it. I basically went to the command prompt, the terminal, and did a CP to my local, to the Macintosh hard drive, and then I dragged them over into the iCloud folder, and everything's hunky and dory again.
Nice.
We love hunky and dory.
But I will reiterate what we had told you, which is that because when you have iCloud Desktop turned on, it's mirroring your desktop and your documents folder to Apple's iCloud. I just read from Shirt Pocket Software, the guy who does Super Duper, a blog post that said, this is a perennial problem with iCloud Desktop is turned on. We have a lot of trouble copying files.
I've had trouble. I have different audio recording software that I use when I'm doing shows from home. And when I would have the location for those files set to one of the iCloud synced folders, it's constantly it's constantly kind of creating that audio file so that if the computer were to crash or something, it would not cause an issue. That's what the software is doing. But because it was trying to save to this place where iCloud was also trying to sync that file at the same time, I kept having all of these issues with it. And it was only by changing it to a folder that was not synced with iCloud was I able to get it working. So this is an ongoing issue that folks have with being able to do file transfer types of operations to that iCloud spot.
Yeah, iCloud Desktop is that's, you know what, anytime you have that kind of syncing stuff, you'll want to turn that off before you do big mass copies. So I'm glad the CP worked. It's always nice to have CP. You're a command line guy. That's the old Unix command for copying files.
I spend a lot of time in Linux. So anyway, then the other fun thing I'm having with the Mac now is I've been having frequent kernel panics.
That is not normal.
No.
Yeah, I went to the Genius Bar and they did a test on the system and they said everything was okay. But nobody looked at the kernel panic until I decided to dig into it a little bit. And it looks like it's pointing at the Paragon NTFS software I have installed.
Oh, that's interesting. That's the software that lets you read. Paragon sells the software that lets you read read and write, more importantly.
Which is the software you were using originally to get those files from the Windows machine over into your Mac.
Yeah.
So I sent Paragon the crash dump, and I'll see if they come back with anything. And if they say that there's nothing wrong or nothing they can do, I'll work on converting my drives to APFS. But meanwhile, I've got another fun thing with this Mac.
Oh no, a third. It always isn't threes.
I ordered a 2 terabyte hard drive to use for my time machine, because I have a 1 terabyte Mac, and I figured a 2 terabyte drive would be sufficient. So I plugged it into my dock, and I tried to format it, and it gives me an error that it can't open the device, and with an error like 69,000 something. You guys still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I looked stuff online. I've tried it from the terminal. I've tried it in safe mode, and it still won't do it. I've tried another drive. What happened was I had ordered the drive from Amazon, and I went and did an exchange because this.
What is that? An old sock? What is that? I don't know.
Amazon
this
package.
Is how Amazon.
Whoa! They sent you a drive in that?
Oh, Amazon,
Yes.
Amazon.
Yes. And even the replacement drive came in this, so I'm not sure.
It's the little thin plastic bag that says on the front of it, "This bag weighs less than a box."
Yeah,
Great.
and then they had it in a
bubble wrap.
pack.
Yeah.
Can I ask you what brand the hard drive is?
Seagate.
Seagate. And so each time it was, you said the replacement drive was doing it too. You also said
and
that
I actually pulled two drives out of a server that I have that were already formatted for a RAID system, and they're doing the same thing. And I've even moved it to a new, because I had put it in my 4-bay drive dock, and now I put it in a separate USB dock, and it's doing the same thing.
I think something has gone screwy with your Mac OS.
I've called Apple.
Yes.
And I sat on and they basically escalated it to a senior engineer, and then he's escalated it to somebody else, and they're supposed to call me back today around like 4:30. They said.
A kernel panic doesn't happen unless there's
I'm saying there's no kernel panic happening when I'm trying to reboot, when I'm trying to format the drive. It's just
okay.
that the drive fails to format or fails to erase.
It's all of these, it's all symptomatic. I'll be interested to hear, what the engineer says.
Shipping.
But to have two of them go wrong, and then for him to use ones that he already had at home and them also not to work, I think there's something wrong with your file system on that Mac. I would be interested to hear what the engineer says. My next suggestion was going to be, you can, one thing I love about Mac OS is that when you do a recovery, you can essentially reinstall Mac OS on its own without having to futz about with your own files that are also on Mac OS. And I wonder if that is one suggestion that the engineer is going to have for you.
I think they're just going to say, erase this and reinstall, which is kind of a cop-out, if you ask me. Well, I tried disabling the Paragon software. I haven't tried uninstalling it yet.
So what I would do in your shoes, you obviously have some PCs around since you use Linux, right?
I did. I connected it to a Windows PC.
Yeah.
And tried to format it in there.
Yeah.
And it was giving me a cyclic redundancy. And
yeah, you gotta. Those drives are damaged. Now, maybe the Apple damaged it, but it seems unlikely. This was a case for SpinRite, to be honest with you. But in order to use SpinRite, you'd have to have a box that doesn't use UEFI. Most people who use SpinRite these days, unfortunately, are doing it on dedicated PCs because modern PCs with their UEFI boots don't work with SpinRite. So
I've been debating about just getting an external SSD.
Yeah, that might be a better idea. SpinRite would at least tell you, you run it on there, would at least tell you if there's anything wrong with the drive. If it's a file system, SpinRite's not going to solve that. But a CRC error means that there's a bad sector that it can't read.
Yeah,
and it's apparently an important part of the drive.
Could Paragon software be looking at each drive and then accidentally doing something to each drive every time you're plugging it in?
I don't know.
And how many? And so you have you have more than how many drives that are doing this?
4,
and all with the same symptoms.
Yeah.
And 2 are new, but 2 are not.
Right.
I would get rid of that Paragon
I
software.
know, it's
first thing I would do.
Could it be the bay?
Could be the bay. How are you attaching them?
Well, I had one. I tried it in the bay first, and then now I have it on an external USB to SATA dock.
So yeah, you've tried it two different ways.
It's a very kludgy setup.
And the drives that I have from the server are WD red drives. So,
Western Digital was famous. You might have gotten. Speaking of SanDisk, which is owned by Western Digital, you might have gotten those famous Western Digital Reds that had SRF drives, which were terrible drives. Are they all Western? Are they all WD?
Seagate.
Now, the two that I bought from Amazon are Seagate. Matter of fact, the funny thing is it says Seagate video. It says 3.5 video. So I don't know. Except that, I mean, the video.
It's just designed for use on video, I guess.
Right. For the design for.
Which is high throughput.
High
and the
throughput.
Reds are designed for NASs.
Right. Well, that's what I had. I had it in a NAS server, but I haven't used this NAS server for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I've
Western Digital. There was a real scandal around Western Digital's Reds. At this point, I would not buy Western Digital drives.
I didn't buy it. I bought these a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, I have a bunch of them. We've learned our lesson.
Ultimately, the only thing you haven't tried doing, you said, is uninstalling the Paragon. And if Paragon software is sort of by its default nature, making sure that any drive you plug in that happens to be formatted in that format to be able to read it, if it's automatically going in and sort of getting that set up, and then when it's doing so, it's messing things up, that could be what the problem is. Now that, I mean, if you're plugging in more drives and each one is ending up with this error, that seems to suggest that that machine is doing something to those drives. But I don't know how you undo.
Now I know
a boo-boo.
These Western Digital drives I have, they were in a RAID array. So I don't know if there's something I need to do to clean them first, or.
You should be able to use the disk utility to wipe them and format them. That's not.
I just want to erase them, and I even tried it command prompt. I tried it from safe mode. Well, actually, now with moving to the new one, I'm getting a different error. I'm getting go back over there. I'm getting that it says it can't.
This is. I don't know if this might be beyond our capability to help you with. I'm glad Apple's going to talk to you. I don't think it's an Apple. I'll be honest. I don't think it's an Apple problem. I think that if you could hook it up to a PC via SATA at a low, so it's got low level access to the drive, and then ran some drive diagnostic utilities on it, you should be able to low level format that.
Everyone in the chat is screaming about making sure that when you are in disk utility on macOS, make sure that in the disk utility preferences you have show all devices turned on.
Oh, I know that one gets me.
But I think I do, because on my other drives it's showing the volume and the
you'll see all the sub volumes.
Yeah,
this is something they had introduced with APFS, because APFS has all sorts of weird little
strange containers
partitioning that it does.
There's let me see. I turned that on the other day. So
this is a drop down.
We'll include a link in the show notes.
I always do that.
A Seagate support.
At first, it looks like, what is this? And then you normally you want to have all volumes visible, as long as you understand what all those volumes are. They're not.
Yeah, but the only thing it shows in here is it just shows for this one, it doesn't show a volume. It just shows the USB adapter, basically.
Yeah, because it can't see the drive. I think you got 4 bad drives, but I mean, you shouldn't see a CRC error unless there is a bad drive.
Right. Yeah, I know that, and that was the thing. But these drives were working before I took the server out of service.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe if I should pull the third.
Seagate played another little game with their drives, where after 3 years, the smart information would say, "Oh, this drive's shot. You need to get
like a printer cartridge."
Yeah, like a printer cartridge.
Well, these are brand new drives from Amazon. They're still sealed in the
That was a
in the
Western Digital thing, and that would be with those Reds maybe that's happening.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, hopefully the engineer will be able to help with that. And if not, I would start looking at that Paragon software as your potential issue here. Doing something.
I mean,
weird.
a lot of people use Paragon software, and it's the one everybody swears by to access NTFS.
Do you even need it now? I know you can read NTFS with Mac OS. Do you really need it?
Yeah, but they said it you can't, like, it's weird. They said you can't copy stuff from it. You can read it, but you can't.
Take off Paragon, and there's an open source program called Mac Fuse that does the same thing. Maybe take that off and try Mac Fuse.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I have all the drives backed up to
yeah, so you're not, it's not data loss at this point. It's just drive loss, like wasted money.
I have the drives backed. I have everything backed up to CacheFly, and so I could restore everything, but it would just take a while. But
yeah.
I mean, and I can move files around between the drives.
Honestly, I would say start using your PC, especially if you've got one running Linux, to run some low-level utilities on this thing. Linux has a bunch of good low-level stuff that you can mess with those drives. Take a look at the architecture and
or maybe I just be
geometry.
better off getting an external 2 terabyte drive to use for Time Machine.
Yeah, that's what I did. I went to Otherworld Computing the other day because my Mylio, one of our sponsors, Mylio, I had imported every photo I could find from everywhere. I had over 200,000 photos, and I didn't have any drive space anywhere. So I went to Otherworld Computing and got it was a Thunderbolt 2, but that's fast enough, enclosure that I could put 4 SSDs in. And I had some SSDs lying, 1 terabyte SSDs lying around. Or maybe, no, they were 2 terabytes. So I got an 8 terabyte JBOD, and it works great.
Good.
It works great. And now I have 200,000 photos.
Yeah, I have a 4-bay. I have a USB 4-bay dock.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
I had external drives. I had Seagate external drives, and they were getting disconnected because they'd get bumped or something. So I ripped them open and pulled the drives out and put them in this 4-bay, and they work fine in there. But it's just trying to format this one drive that's driving me up a freaking wall.
Douglas, you get our Nerd of the Week award. Congratulations. I like your T-shirt, though.
Thanks. Well, actually, it's even better. It says, it says to be root and never reboot. So.
Be root and never reboot. That's how every computer should work. I agree with you.
So,
not for the faint of heart.
The crash dump, it definitely says right in the middle of the crash dump on the back, on the stack trace, it says Paragon. So,
well,
that's the driver. That's the disk driver.
Let us, you have to follow up so we can hear how everything turned out. But I know we've got somebody waiting on the line, one of our guests. No, it's okay.
No, it's all right, Douglas. It's always good to talk to you.
Yes, thank you for your question.
Have a great day.
I'm getting to be a regular in this.
And you always have the toughest questions too for us. Thank you, Douglas.
Well, I mean, I'm a support engineer.
Yeah, so if you can't fix it, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny where at my last job, I had moved from a support engineering position to a design win role, and they called me back. There was a customer with one of our big customers having an issue, and they asked me to come to the meeting, and I was sitting there in the meeting. And the customer heard my name. He was like, "Oh God, if you're on this call, it must really be broke."
Yeah. Yes. It's like, oh boy.
And also, when I would show up in the IT department, the director of IT looked and says, "Oh God, it's you. We know something.
Something really broke." Yeah, I had that guy out fixing our air conditioner yesterday.
Yeah, the other one was.
He said, "If I get called, it's a bad problem."
Yeah, one year at the Christmas party, I won a door prize. I won a wireless router, and it was from the IT department had given that door prize, and the girl from IT came over and goes, "Oh, by the way, that includes one of us coming to your house to set it up."
Oh, I think not. Thank you very much.
And one of the other guys from IT quickly ran over and says, "I'm sorry, she doesn't know who you are."
The T-shirt says it all. Douglas, have a great day.
Thank you, Douglas.
You too. Have a good day.
Be rude and never reboot. That's the philosophy. Hey, guess who's here?
I think we are going to have Chris Marquardt on the line up next. But first, let's breathe.
Chris Marquardt is our photo guy from chrismarquardt.com, and of course his great photo safaris at discoverthetopfloor.com. He joins us every month for our photo assignment, our review and assignment. Hi, Chris.
Hey, good to be back. How are you guys?
Welcome. I have a question before we get to the photo assignment. We just had a call. Guy said, and I haven't heard this in years, I want a good, expensive, professional camera to start my photography with. And I was a little stumped because, sadly, camera phones have gotten so good that the market for inexpensive cameras is depleted.
There is something to be said about dedicated cameras still, because they have different haptics and they give you a kind of a different. It's more of a. I'm putting myself into photography mode when I pick up a camera.
Yeah,
and that changes how I approach this. So,
what would you recommend?
For recommendation?
Yeah,
I'm a fan of the like the Sony RX100, for example.
That's a very nice. That's a point and shoot.
Prices right now.
Yeah,
it's a point and shoot.
Does it matter
if capable.
Does it matter to have interchangeable lenses at this point, or should he just say, "I'm going to get a point and shoot"? I love the RX100, by the way. That's a great. The image sensor is 1 inch. It's really a nice camera.
Yeah, for me, it comes more down to sensor size. I like bigger sensors because they give you a different access to depth of field, to real depth of field, and not the portrait mode that smartphones do. So, but yeah, of course, if you go for an interchangeable lens camera, then that will give you more future options. But then maybe an RX100 is a good place to start and figure out how you like it, because that camera's image quality is phenomenal. There are others, but that's just the first one that comes to mind.
We recommended, among other things, I actually found that the EOS Rebel is still around, and Canon still sells that. Yeah, that's fairly inexpensive, about $400 for a little bit more money. Benito was recommending a vlogging camera from Sony. Was it the M100? Was that the one?
No, it was the Canon M200.
M200. Oh, it was Canon.
Good one, too.
It was
Very
Sony.
good one. And
Sony.
that one is interchangeable.
Yeah. It's a vlogger, and it does have an interchangeable lens, and it's mirrorless, so you're kind of entering into the modern world. But it's a little more expensive, ironically, than the Rebel. So the problem is that this market is dwindling very rapidly.
Another thing is look at the used market, maybe, because used DSLR or something is very, very good in terms of price and very flexible.
Or get Chris's film book and get yourself an old film camera and do it the old-fashioned way. Why not? Yeah.
Why not? When you shoot film, every single photo is worth more.
Yes,
for sure.
It costs more. That's for sure. So tell us I forgot. What was our assignment?
Crowded.
Oh, I could have taken a few pictures at Disneyland last night. Crowded.
So we have 16 pictures in the bowl, and all great, all wonderful. Was really tough decision, but
look at those bikes. Those
I've
are
chosen
crowded.
3.
All right.
As usual, those bikes. I did not choose the bikes, but there's one similar one. So this one here by Larry Alboer, titled "Gimme Shelter."
Cool.
I just like that because it's beautiful theme, 4 really intricate umbrellas, colorful, made with looks like lace or something. So very, very unusual.
It's not exactly crowded, are they? I mean, they're crowded, I guess. I mean, they're jammed in there. Yeah, I guess you could say that.
When's the last time you've seen more than one umbrella?
That's a good point. Well, soon, I think, actually. You like it because he gave it a name. You hate it when people don't name it. And he gave it a good name, I might add.
Naming pictures is always helpful when it comes to getting me to choose one.
Well, you're also giving a hint to the viewer about what your message is, what you're saying.
Oh, of course. It's meta information, and it's, I think, always helpful. Second one by Vegan Feast Catering. That's how you get your name out.
Vegan Feast Catering. Yay. Boy, they're there for his food, huh?
Crowded.
Mm-hmm.
Day at the beach. Now, this is an interesting one because I've seen a couple of examples of these types of beach shots where you have a crowd on the beach, and you can decide as a photographer what kind of a story you want to tell. If you go in there and shoot very wide angle, it will look very empty. And if you step back and zoom in, you can make this look like it's 3 times as many people as there actually are.
That's an example of how a zoom lens is different from a wide angle lens. Zoom in lenses kind of flatten the image, right? So that you're taking all the people for that whole distance and jamming them into a single plane of existence.
You kind of squeeze them together visually, and that is it's just a great tool to help you tell a story. If you want to tell one, or to tell a story that's not there, that happens all the time. So
very nice,
vegan feast catering.
Thank you, Vegan Feast.
And last but not least, here's my last choice, and that is by As Ruby Zoo. So Many Choices is the title, and I'm such a fan of this picture. So we're looking at a black and white photo. There's like a whole bunch of beer kegs, so there's some crowding going on. And then what the photographer did is, I don't know if the camera was deliberately shook during taking the photo, or if it's a multiple exposure kind of situation here, but you see the person and the kegs kind of multiplied, and the fun thing is that adds a total different meaning to that photo, because we're looking at alcohol and we're looking at multiple images, which might
it's a little blurry. Maybe you had a few
blurry
too many. Yeah.
I wasn't supposed to drink the whole keg.
This is from Oktoberfest this year.
And then maybe it's not as crowded there. Maybe that's just the alcohol making it seem more crowded.
Yeah.
So
I dig it. Yeah, that's a cool photo.
Very interesting.
I love it. It's a story inside a story.
Yeah. Thank you.
As Ruby Sue.
Arizona Ruby. Thank you. We appreciate it. Some great images. And I have to say, if you want to see the rest of them, just go to our Flickr group, flickr.com, free to join. You do need an account. The group is the Tech Guy group, and you'll know you're in the right group because we now have more than 14,000 members. Woo. We crossed the 14,000 mark, 14,010 this week, and more than 7,000 photos, and it's really a great active group. Thanks in great part to our wonderful administrator, Renee Silverman, who does such a good job. He's got the fishbowl, kids, stand back. What is the assignment for next month?
The assignment, let me pull one here. The assignment is adorable.
Oh, I think Henry and Mitzi are definitely going to be in
I might have to do some photos for this one.
Adorable. I like it. So the way this works, take a picture that kind of in your mind says adorable, whatever that means to you. We won't be the judge of that. You will. And once you've got a picture, you go, oh, I love this. And they have to be new ones. This is an excuse to go out and actually do some photography. Upload it to the Flickr group. Tag it TG Adorable so we know that that's part of the assignment. And submit it to the Tech Guy group. Renee Silverman will accept your submission. You can do up to one a week. And coming back in a month, Chris will join us and talk about 3 more of his favorites from our selection.
Not in a month, because next month I will be out on the Eastern European photo road trip.
Driving his Tesla around. Cool.
It's going to be 2 months. I'll be back in October.
Wonderful. Yeah. See, that's good. You have 2 months to find adorable pictures. That should be fun. And if you want, is there any room left on any of these Tesla tours, the Eastern European tours?
One spot left on the tour from Berlin all the way down through Prague to Budapest, Vienna, and Transylvania. One spot left, but you got to be quick because we're leaving in about 10 days. So
go to discoverthetopfloor.com, book it so you can go with Chris. It's a small group, right? You don't have, how big a Tesla is it?
Well, as many people as fit in a Tesla.
Okay.
That's me and three more people at max.
Okay, let's get one more person jammed in there. DiscoverTheTopFloor.com. Have a great trip, Chris. It's great to see you getting back to the workshops. I love it. Very happy.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's all coming back. It was kind of, put out of business a little bit by COVID, but everything's coming back, which is nice. Chris, have a wonderful couple of months. We'll see you in October. Chris.
Thank you. Have a good one, and see you in 2 months.
DiscoverTheTopFloor.com.
Ba-ba-da-bum.
All righty. Let's see. Should I take Rachel? I think I should take Rachel. She's got her hand up. That's a good
That's
sign.
a good indicator, yeah.
Moving her into the room. Remember, *6 to unmute and join us inside the Tech Guys Stargate. Somebody's walking their cat. Is that Rachel? No.
No, that's Julian.
Is that a cat? No. It looks like a cat.
It looks like a cat. Yeah.
It must be a dog. Rachel, can you hear us? Oh, okay. Maybe she got.
Oh, it's a dog. It's a dog.
Okay.
The scale was off, so it.
Yeah, because it's wide angle. Yeah. That's that
what's
thing that Chris was talking about. Well, I'll tell you what. What should I do? Video, audio, email. Voicemail from a flounder.
Yes, during the week.
Hey, Leo. Scott Robinson calling.
Go ahead.
Hello, this is Tony from the Villages, Florida. Got a question for you. I'm looking for some cloud storage. I've digitized over 1,000 movies of mine. I have them on 2 local drives, but I'm looking for some cloud storage as a backup. Looking for something that's cheap and easy to use. Any suggestions would be very helpful. Thanks, Leo and Mikah.
Thanks, Tony.
When you're saying movies,
Hi, this is Don.
I would have that concern that these cloud backups are going to be looking for copyright.
No, do you think they do? The Google Drive does.
I think I've heard of Dropbox getting a little weird about sharing music albums.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they'd feel about a bunch of movies.
And what we don't know is what you want to do. Do you want to stream from the cloud, or are you going to back up to the cloud and let them sit there but stream locally? It sounds like it's the latter. That's what he has copies locally. He's going to stream, because that makes a very big difference. If you just want something that's cheap, that you've got it there. Amazon's Glacier is as cheap as it can get. The idea of it moves like a glacier. It's quick to upload, but then they move it to off. They literally take it offline, and you have to email a request. You have to say, I would like my movies. And then later, that day or the next day, it's not forever. It's just a day or so. They will say it's online. You can get them now. Mm-hmm. By doing that, though, they make it as cheap as you can get for cloud storage. So he said, 1,000 movies?
I think so.
If it's feature films, 2,000 hours, that's about 2,000 gigabytes, about 2 terabytes. That's a lot to pay for. That's expensive. That's why you're going to want something like that. Our former advertiser, Wasabi, might be another good choice.
Backblaze does it.
You use Backblaze, right?
Yeah, they've got cloud storage options for that. I think it's 0.002 cents per gigabyte or something like that.
There are,
as long as you're not downloading it.
I saw a company, shall remain nameless, offering a lifetime 20 terabytes for $93. And I thought, that's a good deal if that's real. So I did a little research, and people said, no, it's real. It's just really slow to upload. And so you'll never get 20 terabytes up there, right?
Because you'll be dead before those 20 terabytes.
It'll take a lifetime to fill it up. So that's the thing, is that, you got to really look at reviews. Backblaze is safe. They're really good. Wasabi's really good. Amazon, right?
Yeah, straight to it. I'm sure that, some of these other services are using Amazon in the background.
Knox Harrington said this very aptly in our IRC. Glacier is to back up data you need to keep, but don't really need to do anything with anytime soon. And that's exactly why I asked, are you going to stream from this, or are you just, this is like belts and suspenders. I got a copy locally. I just, I spent a lot of time digitizing. I just don't want to take a chance of losing it. So there's some good choices for you. Price-wise, I don't think anybody's going to beat Glacier.
Yeah,
because it's the slowest. It's the but it's okay it's fast to upload. It's just going to be slow to get it back.
Let's see. So let's do a little calculator. Let's say you're storing
typically a gigabyte an hour,
2 terabytes, and you're not planning on downloading any of it per month. then
it's just insurance.
It's $120 per year for Backblaze.
Well, that's a good deal.
B2
actually.
versus
$10 a month.
Yeah, versus $624 a year for Amazon's S3, which is not Glacier. Right.
Glacier's even cheaper. Glacier has a weird price structure. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's a little odd. It's like I think it's cheap to upload and expensive to get, something like that, right?
Yeah. Again,
the idea being, well, you back up stuff there that you don't really want, but you're buying an insurance policy. Anyway, there's some good. I would not use, not only because of the cost, but also because of the copyright issue. I would probably not use iDrive, Dropbox,
you're going to end up.
Drive.
What happens then when you get locked? That's the biggest thing is then Google dings your account for something, and then suddenly you no longer have access to your Google account. We've had that happen to people before with videos that they had posted, and so that's a nightmare problem you don't want to run into.
The cheapest Amazon Glacier tier, they have 3 tiers: instant retrieval, flexible retrieval, and the one that's the cheapest, deep archive, used for archiving data that rarely needs to be accessed. It has a default retrieval time of 12 hours. I don't think that's the end of the world.
No,
right?
12 hours isn't bad at all.
Consider that like, my backup. I'm trying to find some pricing. That's the other issue is it's not as easy to use.
It's a little bit corporate, yeah.
Yeah, as it's made for an IT department, really. Let's see if I can find pricing. I don't see it off the top of my head, so I'll leave that as an exercise for the viewer. They say for more service highlights and price information, go to the Amazon S3 Glacier detail page, but then they don't have a link to it. So because really, if you need it that fast, you shouldn't be using it.
Yeah. As long as it takes you to find the detail page is about as long as it takes to get
maybe because I'm not logged in. I don't know. All right, another one. What else? What else should we do? Yeah, you seemed like you had 3 or 4 of them all ready to go.
Hello, Leo and Mikah. Hey, this is Mark from Myrtle Beach, and I have a question about AI and where to get started. I've tried using Google Bard, but I feel like I'm missing something beyond this.
No, you're not.
Where should I go if I really want to stay, have a grasp on Chat GPT and so forth? Thank you.
So a lot of people are selling books. If you want to know more about AI, go to X.
Just tweet, yeah.
And just tweet, I want to know more about AI.
You'll get 1,000
There's
people.
a lot of people there selling a lot of books. Everything you ever want to know. I'll tell you everything you ever want to know about AI. You're not doing it wrong.
Yeah.
If you're using Bard or Bing Chat, both of which are free, right? If you're a Windows user, Bing's free. Google user, Google's free. You can pay for Chat GPT from OpenAI. They're all basically very similar. They're based on what's called large language models. They read the entire internet. I just saw a story that said, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Chat GPT. Read all the Stephen King novels. A little bit of a problem there. Stephen might not be too happy about it. In any event, they ingest it, and what do they get from it? They get probabilities. When you give it one word, what's the probability that there'll be another word, like autocorrect does, right? But it's just really good autocorrect. And it does some extra weighting and so forth to kind of try to make it sound sensible. What it doesn't do is understand the words at all, or what you're asking it at all, or math at all. It's just giving you what the next word would be probabilistically based on all of the other words it's ingested. Job done. Now, you can take this technology and do some interesting things with it. You can drive a car, but it's not really doing a whole lot of smart stuff. It just sees there's a line. Take away the lines. Self-driving vehicles don't do so well.
Right.
All it's going is, well, I see a line there. Let's see if I can stay between the lines. Oh, there's a car in front of me. I better slow down. That's about it.
I love this new character, Drunk AI.
Drunk AI. What AI is really good at, in fact, we are using it now for the thing that's going to be most good. It's going to be good for podcasters because it can listen to a podcast, transcribe the podcast, ingest the transcription, and give you a summary, an outline, show notes, all of that stuff. That's useful.
Yep.
But it's not hallucinating in that case. It's merely extracting information from an existing data set. And it does use this same probabilistic weighting of words to give you any prose text that it gives you, right?
And yes, and it is still checked by a human afterward too. Yeah. We're not just letting it run wild. I think I would say from the perspective of if you're just curious about it and you want to play around with it, I really do think, in my opinion, the best place to go is chat.openai.com and use ChatGPT directly, right, because it has been purpose-built, I feel, to be the best example of having a conversation with AI. Yes, this is also true. You can also check out Jason Howell's show on
we're working on a show.
Yeah.
It's not yet fully baked. That's why it's called the Untitled AI Show.
Yes, but he has been talking about it each week on Thursdays.
Yeah, with Jeff Jarvis will be joining him, and they're going to bring in experts. They have had some experts on.
Yeah,
it's a very interesting area. I understand you're wanting to learn more. If you're looking at images, I think get on the Midjourney Discord.
Good idea.
And play with that. That's pretty impressive, and you can do that for free for a limited number of images. Google has a number of experiments in the Google Labs, including a music generator that's terrible.
It's so bad. I guess if you feel like you're missing anything, I would say you're really not. And honestly, most of those books that the people are sending you were generated by AI. They didn't write them. They just had AI write it for them, and then they're selling it because that's what some people do with this technology.
And, it's a scam.
Mm-hmm.
It's very similar to the overhype for Bitcoin and blockchain. To
Somebody who knows quite a bit about all of the AI offerings, our own Anthony Nielsen, suggests checking out Claude.ai. That's CLAUDE.ai.
Okay.
And it's available for free for now, and you can upload files and stuff to it.
I asked Google Bard to write some lyrics for a heartbreak anthem titled Lovesick.
Okay.
Now sing along with me. I'm lovesick. I'm brokenhearted. I can't believe you're gone. I thought we were meant to be, but now I'm all alone. Lovesick. Lovesick, I'm so lovesick for you. I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't even think straight. I just want you back.
This is so bad. This is so bad.
So one of the things I think AI will do, I disagree with, we've talked about the IBM study that said you're all going to lose your job. I think one of the things that actually AI is going to do, because it is so mediocre, is it's going to make humans more valuable.
Yes.
So people who actually write, like Stephen King, will be more valuable because there'll be so much cruft.
And there'll be like a tag, not AI generated.
Yeah. And podcasts that are done by humans, movies that are made by actual humans, all of that's going to be much more valuable because we're going to realize that now the downside of AI is there's going to be a lot more mediocre crap flooding the zone. And that's potentially problematic because we've got a presidential election coming up in the U.S. in 2024. There's an election going on right now in Ecuador. In fact, there are two elections in South America going on right now. And I haven't seen a whole lot of AI disinformation in those yet.
But it's coming.
I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more. But what is it going to mean? It'll just mean that when you read something on the internet, there's a high chance of it being blather.
Mm-hmm.
That's true now.
But that's already the case. Yeah.
That's true now. So it's just going to mean you have to consider the source and go to trusted sources. I think this is good for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good for real writers, real artists, real musicians, because you'll know the difference. Trust me.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. I know it when I see it.
Yeah. And I know the writers are worried about AI. That's one of the reasons the writer's strike. Not the main reason. The real reason for a writer's strike is because Netflix does not pay them in the same way that a rerun of your TV show on NBC would get residual payment. And so writers are upset that almost all the revenues now move to streaming, but they don't tell you audience numbers. There's no such thing as a rerun on Netflix, right? It runs forever, and they're just not getting properly compensated. That's the real reason for the writer's strike and the actor's strike. They're a little bit worried about AI. They threw that in as well. I don't think there's ever going to be a problem with that. Now, maybe I'm glad to see that you agree with me. I hope I haven't influenced you.
In what way?
About your disdain for what AI is doing.
No. That is something that I've honestly felt for quite some time. When it comes to the creative aspect of AI, it's just so that you'll know it when you see it. And I do agree with you. I think it's perfectly put. It is even just in my own playing around with AI, I am having much more appreciation for what we as humans can do.
Yeah,
you know
it makes us more valuable.
Yeah, you see what it does, and it's like, no, it's not. It's not there. It's not what you are expecting. And the times when I've used AI for different idea prompts and generating or whatever, I always end up taking that as a jumping off point, as opposed to it being something this is from the get-go to the end what I want. It's not that good. It's not human. There's something about it that lacks the human element.
We're excited by the idea and played with it and, did a lot of stuff with it. And we're all kind of tired of it, haven't we, I think.
Yeah.
Here is ChatGPT's Lovesick ballad. It's a little bit better. Again, the prompt: write some lyrics for a heartbreak anthem titled Lovesick. In the shadows of our memories, I stand alone. Once a love so vibrant, now it's overthrown. Echoes of your laughter haunt the hollow air. But now I'm drowning in this ocean of despair. It is a lot better than Bard.
It actually rhymes.
It actually rhymes.
It also has meter. Like this one has meter.
It has meter. Yeah, Bard was just...
don't use Bard.
Promises we made, they're just fading scars. We danced in the moonlight, now we're counting stars. My heart's a battleground, love's a cruel trick. I'm a prisoner of emotions, hopelessly lovesick. You know what? This ain't bad. But that's what happened, is people go, oh, this ain't bad. That isn't good.
It just ain't bad.
It's better than you expected. Oh, this lovesick melody is tearing me apart. A symphony of shattered dreams, a work of broken art. I'm lost within the echoes of the love that used to be. In this lovesick anthem, my heart's the casualty.
Oh, that's actually sweet.
So,
that last line is pretty good.
But you nailed it, Benito. It at least has meter. I mean, it has a ba-dump, 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 ba-dump. And that just means that they taught ChatGPT to follow a meter as opposed to Bard, which is just going, I don't know.
You asked for a song or a poem, right?
Yeah.
So like it knows that it needed to do that.
I wrote some lyrics for a heartbreak anthem titled Lovesick. Same prompt on both.
Yeah.
By the way, the prompt was suggested by Google for Google Bard.
Oh, so that's what they came up with?
You'd think it'd be do a little bit better. And this is not ChatGPT 4 because I used to pay for ChatGPT 4, but I decided to cancel that subscription. Again, it's mediocre. Now, admittedly, there are a lot of mediocre songs on the chart.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to either get better or, there's going to be more mediocrity in the world. Talented humans will win in the long run.
I agree. Hear.
Yeah. Now, in 3 years, we could be sitting here. Well, actually, 3 years, we could be in a dungeon and your AI friend could be sitting here doing this show and you will laugh at us. We were wrong.
But for now, we say hear to humans.
Yeah.
Humans. Hear to humanity.
And we say goodbye because these humans have got to scram.
Got places to be.
But don't worry, you can still call anytime, 888-724-2884. Leave us a voicemail. We got some great ones. Record a video and email it to atg@twit.tv. You could also just type old-fashioned, old school. We will give you a better answer, I promise, than ChatGPT did. We'll be back next Sunday. You'll have had many exciting adventures.
I will.
In beautiful Denver,
I will
Colorado.
have had my movement.
Yes. Enjoy your podcast movement. I hope it goes well for you.
Thank you.
I'm going to be here all week. I'm not going anywhere. Coming up, a very exciting twit with Cory Doctorow and Rebecca Giblin, co-authors of the really powerful Choke Point Capitalism. Cory has a new book, A Prescription for How to Fix the Broken Internet.
All right.
Yeah, we will have lots to talk about in just half an hour on This Week in Tech. Thank you for joining us. On behalf of Michael Sargent.
And on behalf of Leo Laporte.
We wish you a great week. Bye-bye.
Do you want to hear about the latest news happening in the tech world from the people who write the articles, sometimes from the people who are actually making the news? Well, we got a show for you here at twit.tv. It's called Tech News Weekly. Me, Jason Howell, and my co-host Mikah Sargent, we talk with some amazing people each and every Thursday on Tech News Weekly, and we share a little bit of our own insights in each of us bringing a story of the week. That's at twit.tv/TNW. Subscribe right now.